All right.
Okay.
We're going to do it?
Yeah.
Excellent. This is old school. This is old school. If you are listening to this, I encourage you to try and find it on YouTube because we're one camera, a bunch of mics that might not be working, and a bunch of idiots in a room going to be talking about football today. I haven't even seen half the scores. Mitch watched Red Zone. Matt's got a laptop. He looks like Clay Matthews in the corner. And
what do I have? I don't know.
You've got nothing but your virginity. How are we doing, boys? Are we doing good?
Are we on RedTube as well?
I think we should.
I think
we got the
That is
casting
old
couch.
school.
Yeah.
That is old. We do have the casting couch today. We're having technical difficulties, but fuck it. I think it's going to make it more fun. Does anyone want to kick things off and mention a game? And maybe let's talk about...
I want to mention the podcast. Is this going to be commercial free?
Is the podcast going to be commercial free?
It never has been. We've always had sponsors, even if they are made up.
Yeah, I think unlike some other programs, we are going to be open and honest about whether we have commercials or not.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Scott
Right,
Hansen.
Hansen.
Yeah,
Right.
Scott
Well,
Hansen.
I don't think we are on it. We're faking to have them as opposed to faking not
I'm pretty
to
sure
have
they're real
them.
sponsors.
Faking not to have them.
Mitch,
The real
Mitchell.
Oh yeah, sorry. I just pull the drill dough out.
That one's going way back. Well, look, guys, week 16. Is it week 16 that's done?
Yeah.
Shit,
It
so
is.
we've got 2 weeks left in the football season this year.
Games
Once-
every day, pretty much though. with
Games every day.
random Gregorian calendar shit.
Yeah, we've got Christmas Day games in
Yeah.
America, which means we've got what?
NFL,
Boxing Day
NBA.
games, yeah, NBA.
non-stop.
NBA. Mickey Mouse is going to be playing in the Knicks game. Did you hear about that?
No.
Better than Bart Simpson 2 weeks
Oh,
ago.
that was
Better than
Ralph
Bart
Wiggum.
Simpson?
No, that was-
Yeah, I think you guys might use some of those players over in Dallas. Why don't we start by kicking things off with some potential trouble for the Steelers at the top of the NFC North? The Ravens didn't let it happen again. They didn't let it happen again. They didn't get crushed again by Pittsburgh. What did you guys see in this game? This was Lamar's coming out game, I believe, bar one interception. What a fantastic game
And the
for Lamar.
interception technically shouldn't have been his fault. The wide receiver could have kept running his route. It would have been incomplete.
I saw something during the week about that was his fourth pick of the season. All four of them
Yeah,
are
well,
basically the receiver's faults. He's had
Yeah.
thrown about 38 touchdown passes.
To 4 interceptions, yeah.
Yeah.
And yet he's still not the MVP frontrunner. How is that?
Because it's Josh Allen. Since he's been engaged, 14 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah,
I think today.
Against who else? New England.
Yeah, it was a very poor decision.
To start him in fantasy or just in
Well,
to play?
well, you know.
He has been the best player in the NFL
Yeah.
this season, but yeah.
Yeah. But it was a pretty good game to watch if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan. I mean, it was a bit of payback. Although I did read that despite this win, I think they're still like...
The conference.
They're still way behind in terms of the number of times that Pittsburgh have beaten Baltimore since Lamar Jackson has been...
It's 8 out of the last 10, I'm pretty sure.
8 of the last 10.
Yeah.
So they're the only team that has really had his number. And this year that's been the case.
I saw something, I think it was on The Herd a few weeks ago, where it was about Jackson's record. I might have mentioned on one of our virtual potties, and I think it's against Kansas City and Pittsburgh. His record's like 20%, and then against everyone else it's about 80, and against the NFC it's like 95.
Yeah, the NFC's only lost to 2 teams, the
Yeah.
Giants and was it Philly that lost to this year? Yeah, Philly.
Yeah.
Both NFC East teams.
Matthew, did you watch that game?
Yeah, I did.
Really impressive.
It was a couple of turning points. Russell Wilson probably overzealous, rushing toward the end zone and just getting absolutely belted and losing the ball was probably one. Turned it over another time as well
For a pick 6.
for pick 6. Yeah, but
He's
well,
praying to be
there's-
delivered from them like Jameis.
Yeah, I mean these
Dear Lord.
there's such. I mean, that whole division is just so good. It's probably the best division to watch. Like, there's still so much venom. 2 head coaches that have gone head to head against each other so many times as
Yeah.
well. It was what I liked most about it was just a tactical masterclass between 2 superb head coaches. So
34 to 17 is a tactical masterclass.
I was. I mean, like I said, there was a
34
couple- it was-
34 to 17 is a tactical masterclass involving Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I thought it
In
was.
what way?
Oh, it was a
what
try.
plays? It was a
They'll try till
they get a
half-time.
participation award, but
They're still leading the division.
So you asked me if I watched the game. I'm not sure if you watched the game.
Oh, yeah.
Shots.
I did.
It was very
I did.
close, and
I watched the defense that underperformed in a way it hasn't all year.
Yeah, they have looked elite.
were you watching it because you were fantasy football watching, John?
Of course I was fantasy
You were
football
watching
watching.
one side, obviously.
Well, I know.
How did Lamar and Derrick Henry go? for you?
Fantastic.
That's good. How are you doing fantasy this week? Good.
Yeah, I'll
Oh, it
win.
might
I'll
get
win.
there.
I will win. I guarantee it. I'm Joe Namathing this
Mother
shit.
Tucker
Tell the,
Craft.
viewers, tell the viewers what you need.
I'm Joe Williams.
8.7 or something?
I need Tucker Craft to get 4 catches for 60 yards.
Do you know what team Tucker Craft plays on?
Green Bay.
What about?
Did you know that? Did you know that when you picked
What's
him
his
up on
number?
waivers? Yeah, what's his number?
I picked him. I don't fucking give a shit what
What
other
is
teams
Tucker
play.
Craft? I don't know.
It doesn't
What's his
matter.
college?
It doesn't matter. I
Starts
can
with
tell
an
you
eight.
Yeah,
that
he's
he's.
going
I
84.
can
I'm
tell
going
you
84.
that he's
I was thinking
projected
7.
to get 9-11.
Does he need 9/11? Do you need 9/11 to win?
No,
You
I
need
just need.
9/11?
I actually need 8.8 or something like that. That's all I need.
Yeah, he needs
8.8.
yeah.
I need 8.8 to go to the fantasy Super Bowl with my 13-2 Dr. Neil Elatrashes. Shout out Dr. Neil. It's finally working.
Doing great work except for Kirk Cousins, who got benches.
Yeah,
Dr. Neil helped Kirk as well.
Yeah,
did
he did. Dr. Neil did.
Yeah, he
Aaron
did.
did Kirk.
Didn't do a great job with
Didn't do a
Kirk,
great
clearly.
job.
But what's happening with Kirk? Because this is a huge contract. Everyone looked at that like it was going to be funny. By the way, did you see this thing today that it was like this is the first time that the Falcons have had a black quarterback with the first name Michael with a last name that's one letter off the male appendage
How funny.
since Michael Vick, because you had Michael Vick,
Yeah,
which
so,
is the V,
yeah, we get it. Yeah.
is the D.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
And
and then
Penix.
Penix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's been a while. How does that happen?
Very well set up, John.
What a
Yeah, no.
coincidence.
What's happening? I don't know. I mean, it's a pretty strong
Riddler.
signal, is it not? I mean, it's a lot of money, and I can't see him really being on the Falcons next year. The question is, does he?
Oh, he's not on the
Does he
Falcons
walk
next
away?
year.
Does
You
he?
reckon they
Does he
cut
walk?
him?
Well, they cut him. That's a lot of money. They
Look at Pitt-
part
look
Doesn't
at-
matter either way.
If they trade, I mean, good luck convincing a trade to happen to get Kirk.
It would need a
Cousins on
restructure to get the trade done
He-
because
he
a lot of
wants to
guaranteed
be
money.
To the
A lot of
Jets.
No, we're done with our retreads. We're just going to blow it all up until Woody Johnson dies. It's all good. I'm not expecting anything
Well,
anymore,
Woody,
guys.
It'll be alright.
But this is
Well, yeah, just for Brick Johnson to come in, the fucking little.
Rick.
So,
What's his Madden rating?
so when Denver released Russ, it was an $80 million dead cap hit for the Denver
Yeah.
Broncos. What would it be for Kirk? I think it'd be something in the hundreds, right?
Google it. What was his contract?
I
Look
think
at Denver now.
Wasn't
Playoff
it,
implications.
wasn't it like
It was highly guaranteed,
4 for 160 or something, wasn't it?
but it was highly guaranteed. You got to look at the
Highly
guaranteed
guaranteed,
portion. That's the only
yeah.
part
Yeah.
that you
Which
care
was
about, right?
crazy.
He's 35, I think, but he busted his Achilles.
Yeah, if another team is happy to take on a portion of the guaranteed money, it's a different story, right? But if another team decide in a trade, but if another team decides they don't want to take on the guaranteed portion of his contract,
Why would you
then
take
the
that?
Falcons are just going to have to eat it.
Eat that, dude.
4-year, $180 million.
180.
180.
Contract including $100 million in guaranteed money.
100 million in guarantees.
$50 million signing.
How much? Okay, 50 million of
So
signings.
130.
So it's another 50.
Assuming
So
an even split, then so what? It's like
if they have to cut him, it's going to be 50 in dead cap. If it's 100, if it's 100 in,
75. It's 100. Assuming the
100 in
Assuming
guarantees.
the guarantees are spread over the 4 years.
doesn't matter. You eat the whole thing. It's a guaranteed portion.
Yeah, but he
They
would've
would have
already
already
used
paid the
25,
25 of the 100 because it's been 1 year.
Well, it depends. If the signing bonus is in year one, that's what they're.
The signing bonus is and a 50 million signing bonus. On top.
And 50.
Oh, on top of the 100 million. Oh my God! This
Yoink.
motherfucker fleeced them.
There's any,
The
like,
contract
there's-
includes 100 million in guaranteed money and a $50 million.
like we know.
And a 50 million signing bonus.
We know these days
Fuck.
sport is show business, but is there any agent in the world of anyone that has done a better job than Kirk Cousins' agent?
No.
Like any sport, any
Absolutely not.
like actor.
$300 million lifetime earnings.
Oh, he's got $230 million
Fuck.
this year,
Yeah.
35 years old,
Yeah.
off an Achilles injury to a team that was, going to be in a 2-horse race to win the division basically the whole season. Like, not a great team, but a team that they have a reasonable squad outside of
Yeah.
their, now they've got a rookie quarterback, but it was a bit of a gamble on him. Like, they're pretty loaded offensively, and this is
Bijan
a
Robinson.
bad contract.
What's his name? The tight end.
They're
Carl
so
Pitts,
lucky,
yeah.
but because
Oh,
Man,
Carl
did you
Pitts.
see that today? Oh my
My
god.
God.
you
see that
they
today?
can eat it. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
You can eat it when you got if Penix is good, like you can eat it for the next 3 years
Yeah.
without any major damage. Like you just get into the situation where like Frisco obviously having to pay all their older players while they're paying their quarterback nothing. Like you can get around it, but man, geez, that's a bad contract.
Oh,
But the whole,
horrendous. 'Cause who's gonna take it?
The whole organization's a fucking joke, though. So, like, money aside, the fact that they even drafted Michael Penix, number 8. I know I'm bringing this up again, and we're talking about it just after the draft. 8th overall. There's no way they would head into that draft knowing that they were going to choose him 8th overall. Why? That makes no sense why you would throw so much money at Kirk Cousins to have a relatively older rookie quarterback. He's 24. And out of all the quarterbacks in that class, him and Bo Nix had played like 4 or 5 years in college. I think Bo Nix had more like 60-odd starts, but Penix wasn't far behind. He was as installed, ready to use the quarterback as it gets. So short-sightedness in the organisation, I don't see a situation where Kirk Cousins is going to be backing up and playing a $180 million supporting role to Michael Penix for the next 3 years. It's not going to happen.
The problem's that they paid Cousins, not that they drafted Penix, isn't it?
Well, it's both. You spend a very expensive, a very valuable pick at 8 for an older rookie quarterback. It's kind of both. What's the original plan on their part? Play Kirk Cousins for 2-3 years if he's good, and phase him out when he hits his late 30s, early 40s. Okay, then you bring in a 37, 38-year-old Michael Penix who's never played a snap in the NFL.
38-year-old. Wasn't he 24? Wasn't he 24?
How old is this cunt getting?
He meant 27.
He's just like Benjamin Button.
He meant 27. I think what they wanted to do, I think the Cousins thing's panic, but I don't mind the Penix drafting because he's like a second or third year. He's not a typical rookie in terms of his amount of college experience. They have a lot of really good 2 and 3 year players. So,
he's not a typical rookie, but if their plan was for him being on the pine for 2-3 years, it doesn't matter like how experienced you are in college.
But I don't think that. I don't know who bought Cousins. Like it's like there's an owner and
a couple of years ago when Green Bay did it with Jordan Love. I know it's completely different with contracts and whatnot, but what pick was Green Bay when they picked Jordan Love? They high 20s.
He was a high
25 or 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
but he was younger too. How old was he? Like 22?
22, 23, and he started a year and a half.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers wasn't coming off Aaron Rodgers was the long-term quarterback of the team that were making the playoffs every year, not a 35-year-old coming from another franchise with a busted Achilles.
It was the other way around now. Because Aaron Rodgers went to a busted franchise, then had their busted Achilles.
There was no way in intention for them to have Jordan Love on the pine for that long either. Because if you remember when they drafted him, Aaron Rodgers didn't come off a great season that year. It was like, okay, he's coming toward the end. And then he picked up his app.
2 MVP. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, has anyone watched the Aaron Rodgers documentary yet?
Refuse.
You refuse? It's actually quite good. It's a bit fucking.
Look, if I wanted to see a guy take ayahuasca and sit in an ice bath, I'd just watch a Joe Rogan experience.
No, man. The reason you got to watch it is for all the inside football stuff, and there was a big thing about the Jordan Love setup, right?
Oh, the draft story.
Yeah, and it was exactly like you said, right? So he was having a season where he was not that great, and he was actually genuinely concerned that he was going to get benched. They obviously drafted a quarterback in the first round, but the thing then was, of course, 2 MVP seasons, as you just said, really gave the guy a chance to learn from someone who's elite. He was playing elite those 2 years, you can't deny that. Yeah. And then when he had his first bad season, it was an opportunity to turf him. He, according to this documentary, he reckons he knew that was going to happen, right? It was like, get what he can get out of me, and that's fine. But apparently he was really cool with the tutorage because obviously Brett Favre did such a big, bad job of like tutoring Aaron Rodgers, and apparently it was a big cunt to him or whatever. So, it's different with Michael Penix
as well.
Yeah, if Michael Penix was sitting behind Michael Vick, let's say, Michael Vick could be
Michael Vick, dogfighting?
No, the dogfighting was a very small portion of his career, but let's assume the dogfighting never happened, right? The jail time never happened. Let's assume that he didn't have to bang down with his homies in jail, right? Like, if he was, coming into his swan song, and then you've got, Michael Penix coming in, it makes more sense. For me, I think that the Falcons are in a bit of a weird position now because they're way over leveraged. Cap's going to be a problem. It's going to be a long-term problem. Now you can't support the quarterback who's going to replace him. Yeah.
I don't mind the double bet if they paid Cousins for 2 years, not 4, but then and you just burn 1. But like you're never going to be able to get him if you're just offering him 2. So it's like the owner, and it seems as if the owner and the coaching staff must have wanted a different approach each, and they've ended up with both. And
I would say so.
Honestly, like as bad as it is at the moment, like they don't have anyone in the division that's really well stocked for the future. Like Tampa's reasonable but old. Yeah. New Orleans are in tatters, coaching change, issues at quarterback.
Carolina only just picking up.
Cap hell, New Orleans, don't know how, but they have it. And Carolina are, they're at rock bottom, rebuilding, new coach, like, first year quarterback, like, whatever, like. And they are getting better in the last 8 weeks, but Atlanta are the best team in the division.
Like, they're currently at the top of the division and because the Bucks lost.
They win out. They make the playoffs. Like
it's crazy.
And
this is like that year that the Seahawks won at 7-9.
Yeah,
this is kind of like
beast mode.
Yeah, but they
or when Washington won at like.
But Washington, and then they go. It was Washington football team, and they versed Tampa when Brady went to the Super Bowl and won 3 road games.
I think like it's interesting.
2020.
Yeah. If they win out, they're going to be a 10-win team.
Who's their last 2 weeks? Will be what? I'm guessing division opponents are the Saints and maybe Carolina.
No, they play one out. They play Commanders, which we
Ooh,
away at
Sunday Night Football, so that's a cracking game.
And then Panthers in Atlanta in the final week. Yeah, I mean they're going to win. They'll beat Carolina. Like they're going to have a better than 500 record, and if Tampa don't win out, as long as they beat Carolina, they're going to win. The Tampa probably win out. Like I don't know that they might hold on and win the division. Like that's.
Would be very interesting.
And then they'll probably play Washington in that first week, or maybe Green Bay.
Interesting.
They'll be 4, won't they? So they'll play the
4 and 5. Yeah, they'll verse Green Bay as it stands.
Or Minnesota.
Sorry, Minnesota then because the Commies are 7th. Yeah. Packers 6. Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably gonna have the worst record in the playoffs, but they'll still be a 10-win team in the NFC, obviously.
Going into our 4 downs, I think me and Mitch have one that's similar. Talking about double QBs getting paid. Cooper Rush, huh?
Yeah,
this
wasn't actually my down, but you can take it away.
Well, it wasn't our down.
I was joking.
We don't even
We're
need
joking off the air that Cooper Rush is going to get paid by Dallas. And knowing Mike McCarthy and whatever Jerry Jones, they probably will. Honestly, they shouldn't because it's backup QB. I think he's going to get at least $20 million a year from some team.
Hang on a second, but pay him how?
No, we're not going to pay him. Another team's going to pay him.
No, you just said I think Jerry Jones.
It's a joke.
Will do
knowing them, I
with
said.
What cap space?
We have a bit of cap.
Wait, you think his value would be $20 million?
I think someone will pay him $20 million.
More than Sam
1
Darnold?
year, maybe?
No, Sam Darnold will get around 35 this offseason.
35,
Sam got 10, right? For the Vikings?
Sam got 10, but Sam didn't have a season like this at fucking at the Niners. Sam played 1 game and threw 2 touchdowns.
I'm just not sure what
saying
Cooper
because
Rush has done to justify
this season he's done very well. I feel the first 2 games were shocking with the checkdowns, but even 2 years ago, was it last year? Yeah, last year when Dak got hurt and Cooper Rush came in, he was 6-1. So even though he's in a big franchise, the O-line hasn't been there half the time for him. He knows how to get it done, and I think a certain franchise in New York could pay for a quarterback like that. I said New York, it could be the Giants.
It won't be the Giants. Giants should do it.
I actually know Giants actually number 1 pick now. See,
they are. Giants are number 1 pick now after today's debacle. So,
but no, I still think someone will pay him 15-20 million to be like a fringe starter. Like Dallas won't, unless he wants to stay Dallas for $3 million a year.
No chance. No, he might get paid 5-10 tops to be back on somewhere.
I think you get a 2-year, $20 million deal as a backup.
Yeah. I don't see 20 per annum.
But he could become the starter at where that is.
I don't think he should.
Like Carolina, I think.
Bryce Young's starting to turn it around.
Cleveland. They have no money.
They've got no money. Like
Tennessee.
He will appear somewhere as one of the better backups in the league, and he could become the starter.
Jacksonville. The Packers are 6 touchdown games.
Cooper Rush.
But then again, Vince scored 6 touchdowns in 1 game against Detroit in week 17.
He probably cumulatively scored.
It was probably this week. What 8 years ago, 9 years ago, did it?
On this day,
yeah. No, 10 years ago, because that's when they went 15-1. The Packers. Vegas, no. Giants, no. Chicago,
why not Vegas?
Because Vegas dropped down to the 6th.
Why not Vegas? Who's Vegas got as a quarterback?
Minshew.
How has that gone? Poorly.
Yeah,
poorly.
I just answered your question.
They've also got Aiden O'Connell.
They do,
You know what? New Orleans.
The great AOC.
We're hearing it now. Cooper Rush to New Orleans.
I don't know. Did you see the other AOC play Madden?
If you call that a 10th play Madden. Against Tim Waltz, who had somehow gone from a head coach then to a defensive coordinator.
Fucking salty Dems.
I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah, my prediction.
Go work, go broke.
He's going to New Orleans. Cooper Rush to New Orleans.
There's the advertisement. That's the sponsor.
That was my down.
That was your down.
Doesn't matter.
So what was your down? So
Cooper Rush to New Orleans.
I like
Cooper Rush to New Orleans. It's possible. It's possible. He's better than who they have. That is possible.
Speaking of on this day, I might go next then. So on this day,
I see
on this
clearly.
week, last year, the LA Chargers lost to the Raiders 63-21.
Oh, they did.
Brandon Staley got fired. It was actually a week
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
so
Thursday.
you're way
Thursday.
back.
Thursday.
He just
Thursday.
said on
Okay.
this
It was a Thursday.
370 days
It's a
ago.
Thursday night game.
Thereabouts.
It was the same
On
week,
this day.
I think. Anyway, go. Brandon
It
Staley
wasn't on
getting
this day
mentioned.
8 years ago. I'm a little more precise.
Brandon
It
Staley's
would have been
getting
on this day
mentioned.
though.
Literally.
You
Yeah.
all tuned in. Brandon Staley is getting mentioned.
Can you
Circa
believe it?
on this day.
This might be the only keyword that no one's going to look up for this podcast.
What's that?
Brandon Staley.
Brandon Staley. Yeah. Where's he now? He's at the Niners, and he probably won't be there next year either.
Yeah.
He's on defensive staff there, so maybe explains why they didn't make the playoffs. Anyway, I want to talk about the Chargers. So that season they finished 5-12. They fired their coach on a Thursday night. On the season they had 21 giveaways. They conceded 363 yards per game, which is the 5th worst in the league. 23.4 points per game. And look where they are now. They hired Jim Harbaugh. As of right now, they have the 2nd least giveaways in the league with 9, which includes 3 picks, 6 fumbles, 18.3 points per game conceded. The defense is
Where's the defense rank? That's fucking pretty
first. It's equal. Well, there's like 0.1 difference between them and KC and Denver.
Fuck,
Like, it's
pretty
all
good.
like pretty close.
good. KC, so all in the AFC West have the best defenses
Yeah, they
in the
do.
league.
Yeah, they do.
Wow.
Yeah, they're all three out of 4 of the teams.
Oh.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah. Don't talk about the Raiders. So they're 9-6 right now. And speaking of the Raiders, they got to play the Raiders and the Patriots to close out.
Talking about the
year.
Raiders, they
So-
got to play the
The
Raiders.
Chargers will be playing
Yeah.
playoff football.
Why are you roasting me, Evan? You're right.
Why not?
What's the matter?
It's the new environment. The new environment is just. It's
I'm
just
not
so.
looking at
It's
Mitch.
so
When I'm not
intimate.
looking at Mitch and I
Look.
can't target him.
Sink into the
it's
couch.
so
You can be
It's
salty.
targeting me,
You
I'm
can be
here.
salty about me refuting the fact that I think that Cooper Rush is worth $20 million. a
Cooper
year.
Rush was 5 minutes
let-
ago. Let's move on.
Well, I thought I'd moved on.
I moved on. You brought it back up.
Do we need to institute the talking football?
What about Eric's like?
I want to talk about my feelings.
He said he couldn't target me because he wasn't sitting across from me. He's like literally.
Yeah, but
So-
Yeah,
you
but now
crossed
you
me
can,
to target
now
back.
you can slap him in the face. You've
Yeah,
got the
probably
reach.
whack like that.
Can I keep talking about the Chargers, please?
You may.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chargers going 11-6. Keep going.
Yeah, they'll probably go 10, 11-6, and
Already.
Jim Harbaugh has plus them up.
No,
5-6
nice.
5-6 wins. They'll be in the playoffs. The greater than 90% probability they'll be in the playoffs. But it's who they've done it with. Like they let go of Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler. I know Austin Eckler was like not his greatest, but Keenan Allen has still got it right. Who are they doing it with? They did it with J.K. Dobbins. Now
Injured.
Gus Edwards, a rookie Vlad McConkey, who's probably like their leading receiver. Quinton Johnson, who can barely catch a ball. Did you see how many drops he had on Thursday night? It was
He's been
unbelievable. And Joshua Palmer. And they've got a rotating cast of tight ends. So it is incredible what Jim Harbaugh has done in the first year he has been with this franchise. And it's all off the back of good defensive play and his belief that the O-line's a tip of the spear. Drafting Joe Alt, and that line is just formidable. You got Herbert, who's only throwing three picks. Why? He's got all the fucking time in the world.
Even last week was his first pick, since week 4 or week 5?
Yeah.
But this is
old.
old school football
It really
mentality, and I'm so glad that we're returning to this.
Yeah.
Like, the game is won in the trenches.
Yeah.
I love that about football.
But how crazy
It's
is it?
right. It's one in the fucking the 6 inches that separates CT from E. Like just that.
Ask two
You
of
know?
that.
Yeah. But the fact that he was doing it with 2 has-been running backs from Baltimore, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards.
Yeah.
Could you imagine next year they actually like pick up a good running back, one more capable receiver?
Who would they pick up, you reckon?
It'll be
That's
Brees
a
Hall.
running
The
back.
Jets are fucking fire.
What about the rumors with Garrett Wilson?
It doesn't need to be rumors. He doesn't like playing there. Why would you want to play for the Jets? I'm a fan.
Why do you want to play on the pitch, I'd say?
Why would you want to play with the Jets? Like seriously.
Yeah.
Imagine having the 17-year-old son of the fucking owner come in and tell you that you played like shit.
His awareness is only 83 rated. Get rid of him.
Anyway, sorry, Matt.
You're right. Look, no one wants to play the Jets, but everyone's going to want to play the LA Chargers.
I agree.
That culture,
Totally.
the culture has just completely
Totally.
I'm
shifted.
just saying that 5 years ago
And
would have been San Diego Chargers. Sorry.
what do you reckon? I mean,
Well, as it seems like you said,
you never want to doubt KC,
No.
right? And I'm not doubting them this season. I don't want to be burned. None of us want to be burned by that again, by doubting them.
Fuck
Don't do
Kansas
that.
City.
What a fucking
I'm
awesome.
doubting them.
someone
But-
better than back
Hey,
home.
look, next year after, the LA Chargers are, I think they have well and truly have a chance
So
to take
this
that
year
division
they're
probably
what?
next season.
They're currently the
Definitely the year after
They're
next.
currently the 6th seed. Yeah, they would be because it'll be Baltimore in front of
Yep.
them and
Yep, it's no.
That's it,
yeah, and then it's Denver 7.
Oh, Denver 7. Sorry, so they're the 5th.
They're
Sorry,
gonna,
the 6th.
they're gonna be 11
So
and 6.
who would they play? Who's the 3rd seed right now? So it would be obviously Kansas City, Buffalo. Would that be Pittsburgh then? No, Baltimore's 5th.
Baltimore's last week.
So fucking Pittsburgh, that's a cracking game. Defense versus defense.
Baltimore win the division.
Harbaugh ball
Oh,
again.
Yeah.
in the playoffs.
And Jim did lose to John when they did play earlier in the year.
John's got
I don't have
list,
I don't have high hopes for the LA Chargers this year, but again they had nobodies.
Hmm.
They're doing this with nobodies, but as soon as they have just one or two more key pieces, they're gonna be a force. So I reckon next year they are a threat, like to take the
You never
division
know, they
for
can
the
still
first
do it
time.
this year. They're only a field goal away from beating the Chiefs and then an extra win there.
Look at the AFC, like the coaches, like that have done these quick turnarounds, like other than D'Amico Ryans, a rookie, like the rest of them, like experience, coaching matters more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like look at Peyton this year, look at Harbaugh, then all the other teams in the AFC playoffs are going to be long-term experienced coaches of that team.
Yeah.
John Harbaugh.
It's actually quite interesting too, because the NFC is kind of
Reed, like
the NFC is
way
kind of the
up.
opposite, isn't it? Because you got Sirianni, and the jury is like perpetually out on Sirianni. Dan Campbell, who's like a new coach but a dynamic one, so very different from like that kind of veteran type. Although has learned under Sean Payton, though, who's the 3rd seed in the NFC.
Mike McCarthy is a Super Bowl winner. Is he the only Super Bowl winner in the
Talking about
NFC?
good
What about
teams here.
Sirianni? But like he's through the first 50 games, he's got like the 3rd highest winning percentage of all time. That's
Not
like,
bad.
Yeah. And so who's the 3rd seed? Alright, well you got the Rams and he's like
Sean
McVay's I suppose a young
Super Bowl
veteran.
as well.
yeah, McVay's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
university reckons he's jet of a coach. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you got
he's
Atlanta
unreal.
and you got Raheem Morris, first time head coach. So like the coaching disparity between the AFC and NFC is massive. Like the experience differential's huge.
Especially in big games.
Yeah, there's not a lot of experienced coaches in the poor teams. There's been a lot more coach turnover, I think, in the NFC. But like, obviously, Chicago, Carolina have had 3 coaches in the last 3 years. Arizona, Seattle have changed from a long-term coach.
A younger version of Pete Carroll, by the way.
Yeah,
Literally half his
Does he
age.
chew the gum though?
Not as aggressively. Yeah, I miss the old gum chew. Yeah.
All the good coaches in the AFC. You don't even mention Sean McDermott.
well, he's done a good job for a long period.
I don't want to talk about Sean McDermott. I don't want to talk about any other team in the AFC East. I fucking hate them all.
Is there a team you do want to talk about or a down? Take over from here. I'll hand it over to you.
Woody Johnson.
Woody Johnson.
Oh, it's not a team.
No. I don't want to talk about Woody Johnson. I want to talk about the Rams. Much like I said last year, I think they're the team that are going to upset everyone in the playoffs this year.
Again.
I think it's going to happen. I think last year they had to fight their way in. There's just something about, now talking about the coaching again, something about Sean McVay. He's incredibly creative. He's got Mike LaFleur there, who's come from the Shanahan tree. So you've got this kind of you've actually got this mixing of the two offenses. The McVay, Shanahan themes are all riding in. Puka Nacua, he's just playing at an elite level. Cooper Kupp can still play and they
Not the
can
last
run
3
the
weeks.
ball. Kyron Williams has been unreal. Forget the last 3 weeks, but that's only because he's been feeding Puka, because Puka has gone from Puka has gone from like I could be a top 15 to I'm a top 5 target in this league, and he's just catching everything.
The NFC's so open, like everyone thinks
man.
it isn't. Like Detroit's
It
injuries
is.
have brought them way back to the field, obviously.
But here's what I think. I think that if the Rams were to play Detroit in the NFC Championship game, I think the Rams win that game.
yeah, Detroit are like, I mean, the
Why does it seem they
creativity.
versus the Packers, the Rams?
Well, the Rams,
The Rams can beat the Packers, and then I think the Rams can beat.
third seed now. So they're
Is it
playing-
fair? Is it
Packers.
is-
Washington 7th.
Is it fair to say that at least Philadelphia, Detroit, Green Bay, Rams could make the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the
I think it is.
AFC, if Baltimore doesn't win the division, Kansas City or Buffalo are in the Super Bowl. If Baltimore doesn't win the division, it's only Kansas City or Buffalo that will play.
Yeah.
in the Super Bowl.
Listen, you guys know I don't like to talk about the team up north from New York. However, this year I cannot doubt that. I cannot deny the fact that they're just so good.
Do they have enough offensive
Buffalo's.
weaponry?
Do they need it?
Yeah, I
Do
don't know.
they need
Is
it?
Allen realistically going to carry them on his back?
Hasn't he?
But week after week, like, is he going to carry them on his back through Baltimore, through Kansas City, and then through an elite team in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think you're touching on the fact that their defense is an issue because they have had to score.
They have to score a
30s
lot.
and 40s points.
And do they have enough wide receiver options or ball or pass catching options against these better coaches
I
defensively?
hadn't thought about it that way. I mean, they seemed like, it doesn't matter who they've really played this year. I mean, they played KC earlier this year, and they didn't seem like they really were starved of options. They kind of convincingly had beaten them. I'm just worried about their defense and can they sustain that like high 30 points per game watermark.
And they do it when the pressure's on. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
They've got rid of a lot of veteran players on both sides of the ball in the last 2 years, Buffalo.
Yeah.
Like, if we can kind of reload on the run around this, like champion individual talent and coach.
Yeah, but here's a guy who this year
Here's a guy.
has got
Well, that was cool.
here's a guy who's got a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown and a receiving touchdown. He literally can carry the team. He's got all three.
Can he kick the ball?
He probably could.
Well, Tyler Bass.
Probably could.
He probably could. Probably punt the ball. Man, if you throw him back there as a linebacker, he'd probably get a sack. Like, he's a big, strong man from
Josh
Wyoming.
Allen. There was a Josh Allen that got a lot of sacks. So what's he? Josh Hines.
Josh Hines Allen now. He's included his mother's name in his father's last name.
The Google search is going to help
I
him.
just don't know, like Buffalo, we saw like it's getting harder. Like they were pretty ordinary today. They scrapped home part. They gave away a big start to the Patriots, who fought hard and controlled the ball fairly well, other than the screen intercept. But like they got ran really close by Detroit, who are obviously elite. Like they lost to the Rams. It's hard to get out of the head that loss where they got absolutely hosed by Baltimore earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And they beat Kansas City, but I don't know.
But can I say Buffalo have, like, if you look at their last few years, they start slow. Every year they've started slow. I mean, they lost the Jets last year. The year before that, I'm pretty sure they lost their opening game as well. Like, I think it might have been to Miami. Like, they start slow. They get their losses out of the way within the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, 5 weeks of the season. Then they go on a run.
Yeah.
I just think this narrative is...
As it gets colder, they get stronger.
This narrative is so turned by that one result against Kansas City. Like, if they lost that game to Kansas City, where they were really impressive in and they deserved to win, it'd be like, well, they lost to Baltimore, they lost to Kansas City, they lost to the Rams. Like, it's the same old Buffalo. But that one result has them at probably equal Super Bowl favourite.
Okay, that's fair.
And ultimately, Kansas City are going to be the 1 seed, you'd think.
Barring some ridiculous collapse, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
they're 2 games ahead, so they have to. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it has to be
Like I
something
said,
but they're the most complete team when you think about it. Like, they're not fantastic offensively, but Spags and that defense.
even the blitzes they run out.
And I know it's boring to say it, but special teams. I mean, how important has special teams been in some of their results? Like the blocked field goal against Denver. Yes, people say, "Oh, it's fluky. Denver fucked up." It's actually a really well orchestrated special teams play, and that's the thing with great coaches. We're just talking about these experienced coaches. They embrace the really boring shit.
They don't give away stupid penalties, stupid holding in bad times.
And it's all the stuff about the picks from Mahomes. Like, they're all deep on offense. Like, none of them putting the team in trouble.
Yeah.
And then usually after that, Chris Jones will come up with a play in that same sort of
George Karlaftis, a great legend.
Yeah.
Like, Kansas City ultimately, their squad's way thinner. They have, arguably the best offensive coach of the last 2 or 3 decades. They've got possibly the most talented player of all time at quarterback. They've got one of the top 3 tight ends ever. They've got a champion pass rusher in Chris Jones. They have one of the best, like his views or not, one of the best clutch kickers of all time. And what matters in the playoffs, it's the quarterback's safest target, the person that can get to the opposition's quarterback, field position to get you in kicking range, nailing the kicks. Great long-term defensive coach, offensive-based head coach that will call the plays when it matters the most. Yeah. They have all the big ingredients. They have the most of.
I think the issue the last 3 or 4 weeks with the Chiefs just pushing around is their blind side. Their left tackle was given away that many sacks and forced fumbles. Like there was who were they playing last week? They just skimmed by a win. Not Houston the week before. I think they just won by a field goal. They showed us that where Mahomes had his quickest ever average throws in a game in his career, 1.92 seconds, because every time the left tackle, a turnstile.
When was this?
Last week.
Yeah, but his ankle's also been a bit fucked.
Yeah.
So he's not running out. But the last thing I want to wrap up with on the Rams is
how do we go from
The Chargers.
Just on Kansas City, but before you get there, like this is a skill. Like it's people can go, oh, they scrape by every week, like once or twice, yeah. Weird Raiders play, but they found a way to be covering likely tight enough that his foot was on the line in the first game. Like the Bengals marched the field and then didn't come
pass
up.
interference?
Yeah. They've beaten Jackson, Burrow, the Falcons, who had just come off beating Philly the week before, the Chargers, who are flying. Chargers only considered 17 against Kansas City. Kansas City only considered 10 against them.
Yeah.
49ers before they had all their injuries. Like
Raiders again.
they lost to the Bills, and their draws got a little softer late. Like they probably haven't had a red letter win for 8 or 10 weeks. But in that first half of the season, they're beating all the better quarterbacks. And if they hadn't lost that game to Buffalo, it'd be 15-0. Like seriously.
Yeah.
Maybe they just didn't want the curse on their side.
You can fluke wins. You can't fluke the season. They've lost one game out of 15.
They're comfortable. Like every game you watch, they're comfortable in those one-score situations when they give the ball back to KC.
Yeah.
You just know what's going to happen. You see it. You just see it coming.
It smells to me like the Patriots kind of in between the runs of the Super Bowls, where like the team was going to win the division, they could manage their way out of most situations. But if a quarterback in the conference had a heater against them in the playoffs, they were vulnerable, and they are. Like they're vulnerable. If Josh Allen plays his best football, Buffalo will beat Kansas City.
100%.
But it's the playoffs, and Kansas City find a way for that not to happen all the time.
The officials find a way for that not to happen all the time.
Or for him not to play as well. Like Buffalo beat Kansas City the last 3 times the regular season. They've lost the last 3 times in the playoffs.
So if you're Kansas City, obviously division round, they could versus a 4th, 5th seed. They could say, hypothetically, Baltimore versus Buffalo. Who do you reckon Kansas City would rather win that game?
I honestly don't think they care. I think they're at the point where they just prioritise their preparation. Like they'll prepare for their matchup. They've seen both of them so much. They beat both of them regularly when it matters. I mean,
Who do you reckon wins that? Buffalo. So Lamar going to Buffalo. So Baltimore going to Buffalo. So Buffalo love them.
You did. Sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings.
In the snow, will there be a running game? Or Derrick Henry only rush for 30 yards?
In the snow, will
there be a running
say
game?
that again.
In the snow, will there be a running game? Like, or will they stuff them out?
Statistically
I don't know. Good question, but I really don't. Like Buffalo and it's pretty interesting. Like
because normally it snows always wild card divisional.
Yeah, and that's when quarterbacks usually put up 560 yards and 4 tutties, right?
Never know. Josh Allen could. You never know.
Yeah, probably. I want to come back to the fucking Rams. All right?
Is that where we started?
That's where we started. We started down the rabbit hole of the Rams. I just wanted to say, and now this is going to feel like a moot
Rams
point,
the Chiefs.
I was going to ask what everyone's stance is on Matt Stafford then, and how you guys feel about him in being in the Hall of Fame, because you look at what he did in Detroit, and unfortunately didn't result in playoff success. But he got 1 year, first year, like he did a Brady before the Brady thing was a thing, right? First year in a new team, takes him to the playoffs, takes him to the Super Bowl, wins the Super Bowl. You know,
in his backyard as well.
Proving to be so resilient. Like every time you count out the Rams, there they are again, winning games, and he's putting the team on his back all the time. Now he's got a better supporting cast. Where do you stand on him in the Hall of Fame? Do you think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Okay. So if we're saying Eli Manning's the first ballot, I think he is as well, Stafford.
Yeah,
but still, Eli Manning's regular season, his interceptions, Stafford shits on him in the regular season. Yeah, beat Brady twice in the Super Bowl. But again, his defense carried him. I'm saying, from a player watching him, Stafford was a better quarterback than Eli Manning. So if Eli Manning's the first ballot, I think Stafford's the first ballot.
If the suggestion is, if the knock on him is just all those horrible years in Detroit, he was only shining light in Detroit during all those horrible years.
Yeah. Well, no.
A deep playoff run
as well
would help.
They got robbed against Dallas in 2014. They could have won a game there.
Another deep Rams playoff run would help immensely.
But it was true though. You can't pick up a flag.
He's won a Super Bowl.
Stupid.
I think that was.
Yeah.
If you were to ask, like, off the back of that Super Bowl win the first year with the Rams, I'd probably say, I don't know. I think you're right. I think he'll probably need like a decent playoff run.
I think he'll get it this year.
If Bobby Wagner, I think his consensus is first ballot Hall of Famer. He's won one Super Bowl.
Yeah, but quarterback versus linebacker is completely different.
I know, but I'm saying, like, They've both got a Super Bowl each. They've both been in the league for a long time. Hard-nosed players.
All right.
But they were kind of talking about Wagner as like first ballot.
Now, let me ask
I know
you.
the different
Playing Bobby
positions,
got
but
himself
they
a little-
kind of-
No. There's a
Arsenal
better
streak.
comparison point. There's a better comparison point, right? I know we don't like to talk about him because it's my team, but Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Forget the
Definitely.
Jets. Aaron
100%.
Rodgers.
Yeah,
Aaron
yeah,
Rodgers.
he's-
He's only won one Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's got 4
Yeah, but he's like
MVPs.
the MVP.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he's choked in the playoffs a lot.
Yeah, but the MVPs
Yeah,
have to stand out.
Hall of Famer.
I don't think anybody thinks that Matt Stafford's better than Aaron Rodgers. Except
I don't
for
think he's
Matt
better.
Stafford.
And look, let's be real.
Especially.
And let's be real with Aaron Rodgers too. The Colts personality would get in there too. as
You
well.
reckon?
Yeah.
People don't like him.
Well,
People
people
like Matt Stafford.
like him. They
People
don't.
like Matt Stafford.
He's an enigma.
Let's move on. I don't want to
Reach your
talk
point.
about the Jets.
What was your
I
four
think,
down?
I think the Stafford, another deep playoff run cements it for sure. I think he will be first ballot Hall of Famer. Barely in the same class as Aaron Rodgers though.
Yeah.
For my Aaron Rodgers is just a weird man now.
He's a weird man.
Yeah, he's
He's a
completely
weird man.
shot physically, but fuck, he was like the best player in the NFL
Well,
for 5 years in a row.
I just want to bring this up really quickly before we move on from it. And I promise I
Matt
want to talk
Stafford's
about the
the
Jets to be
best
honest.
player in
But
the
is he shot physically? Because
Yeah.
if you look at his last 7 weeks, 14 touchdowns, 1 interception, 110 quarterback rating. The Jets have gone 2-7, but they've lost. You ready? That they've lost 5 games with the defense letting up a touchdown with a minute left to go. You flip those,
Yeah.
and where are we? Aaron Rodgers on the year,
Yeah.
24 tutties, 8 interceptions. And do you want to know the most embarrassing statistic as a Jets fan? He's about to break the single season passer yardage record at the fucking New York Jets. It's
No
about
way.
260 yards away.
And he's probably having,
Wow.
from a completed perspective, what would be considered the worst season of his career.
It is. The passer rating is the worst. It's the worst
Yeah.
season of his career. Now, it's actually still a 90, right? 90 is actually not a bad passer rating.
Yeah, I think that
It's
tells you why
it's
he's first ballot.
It's a
Like,
top,
he's been
top
so
15,
elite.
bottom 15. You're
What's
right
his
there on the
you know his
cusp.
completion?
Yeah, about 62%, 63%.
That's where the-
Like, that's the thing that's knocking him off, right? But quarterbacks nowadays complete 70%. 60%
But
20 years
that's
ago.
what made him stand out among all
Yeah.
the quarterbacks, was his accuracy. He's such
Was
an
his
accurate-
accuracy.
Yeah.
But there have been a lot of drop balls this year. There's been a lot of miscues.
The line early on was pretty bad.
The line early on was
It's
horrendous.
looking much better.
So, I don't know.
So you reckon? So let's say against
Yeah.
if he has a stronger line, then does he go another year?
Listen,
Well,
the
can I go
Jets...
to my point here? Sportsbet has the will Aaron Rodgers retire by free agency 25. Yes, he's 270. No's $1.40.
He's not retiring. He's
Do we
not.
jump on the $1.40?
He's not retiring because he doesn't. He's too much of an egomaniac to go out like this. Personally, if I'm the New York Jets, I got to be honest. I run it back. I run it back with Devontae Adams. I run it back
with Woody Johnson.
Fuck. Well, we got no choice, right? Like, unless
not run it back with the owner.
unless he dies, right?
Seriously.
Like, there's no choice.
Unless he gets
But-
selected for the cabinet again. He's
No,
like
he
overseas.
didn't. He didn't. Someone else has been
Man,
selected.
honestly,
as
how
the-
many
That's a shame,
positions
man.
are there in the fucking cabinet? Like, there's a US ambassador every fucking country in the whole world. Like,
Yeah.
seriously.
Why couldn't we send this guy to fucking Ecuador so he can get assassinated or something?
Oh,
like that?
God. Was Ecuador not?
Am I the only one thinking
Is
it,
Ecuador
Jets
not the
fans?
guy?
Am I the only one thinking it? Don't need to sell the team when you're dead.
Yeah.
Imagine you
you
some
probably
Then we got Brick
probate or
Johnson
some shit,
coming
isn't
in,
Brick.
fucking managing the team, probably doing
What
trades
about a-
based on
how-
what he sees on Madden trades.
Oh, the trade interest isn't there. Another first round
Imagine the
pick.
probate. Yeah, the Jets. Who wants that? All the families go, nah.
But you look, if I'm the Jets, you got to run it back. Give it one more year. He's gotten better as the years gone on. Let's not forget, it was a major Achilles injury, and let's not forget team chemistry. If
What
we
happens
run
to
it back,
coach?
this year, huh?
What happens to coach? Though?
Well, this is the mistake, right? I personally believe that if we kept Robert Saleh, we wouldn't be in this position. Robert Saleh, that New York Jets defense during his tenure, average
Yeah.
points per game, 17 given up on defense.
Yeah, now
that would be
we're
better
high
than
20s,
any other
right?
team this year. It's 27.
Would you be in the playoffs if Robert Saleh was still the coach now?
Fucking oath we would be. Absolutely, because you look at the last 8 weeks and the fact that we gave up 6 losses within 1 minute left. Why is that? Because you're such a smart owner that you take the DC who's performing really well with that unit, and then you say, let's make you the head coach and give you so much extra responsibility just so you can fuck it all up. And he's a guy who's never had to do extra responsibility. There he is, and he's never had to manage both. So no wonder it's gotten so shit. So as the Jets have gotten better offensively, the team's gotten worse defensively. And if your record is 2-7 in games where you are up with 1 minute left in the fourth quarter, what does that fucking tell you? How do you lose to Drake May and the Pats like that, with all due respect?
Well,
you know?
he's got some talent, but yeah, there's not much for him to throw to.
Well, actually, it wasn't even Drake May. It was Jacoby Brissett. It was a 96-yard touchdown drive.
Yeah, it was Jacoby Brissett.
Oh, anyway.
So before we get off the Jets completely, if Garrett Wilson does want to trade, what do you reckon you can get for him, and where would you trade him
This is just
to?
fucking Keyshawn Johnson all over again. You know, it'll be 2 first-round picks, and he'll end up in fucking, I don't know, bumfuck Idaho. I don't care if he leaves the team.
Surely NFC. You want
Yeah,
to
well, it's
trade
not
him.
going to be Buffalo.
Who's going to be the coach?
Okay, well, who
Not
do I
Buffalo.
think? Okay, can I tell you who I'd like as a coach next
Yeah.
year? Now,
No,
personally, well, it won't be Vrabel, right? These ties to Brady. I told you, Vrabel is going to Vegas, in my opinion, right? That's Vrabel's job. It's obviously not Belichick. Belichick's gone off the table now. I think that it's not going to be Ben Johnson, because Ben Johnson. We discussed this last week, right?
With
Ben
assistant
Johnson
coaches.
will be the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL history, and he'll be getting paid more than a Kevin Stefanski for $3 million a year. I think it's going to be a retread, and I reckon that the best bet for the New York Jets is either you go and get Rex Ryan, who at least can light a fire under the team's ass and do something on defense, right? He can pull those guys together to young defense. Or, do you want to know who I'd rather? I'd rather Pete Carroll.
Wow, that's
I'd rather Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, again, defensive mastermind, will bring someone young in. He's got clout, right? Rex Ryan can be seen as a bit of a fucking, psycho, right? Whereas Pete Carroll is seen as a good manager of people. He's a nice guy. He's very well respected. And I think that, and he's indicating that he wants to coach.
Where is he? Is he still at the Seahawks? I have no idea.
Pete Carroll.
Is he still in the building? What is he doing? I don't know what he's doing. Like,
He was upstairs, wasn't he?
Was he upstairs?
I think he
I
was
don't
supposed to be.
know.
I
I
thought
don't
that
know.
was.
You sure he's...
That was the story that he was.
Yeah,
going.
because when he.
I don't know how long it was for though. Like
I don't think he's there
take a
anymore.
head coach role.
Check out, you look it up, find out where he is. But I reckon Pete Carroll will go in and turn that like, those, like Sauce Gardner's having a down year. DJ Reed's having a down year. Michael Carter is the only cornerback in our team that's doing all right, and he plays really good in the slot. You got these safeties, and no one really knows who they are. You go and draft a couple of safeties. You get Legion of Boom 2.0. You got a good defensive line there. You keep the Williams brothers. You've got Jermaine Johnson coming back. Will McDonald as a rookie last year. This year has been playing really well. It's top 10 in sacks in the NFL. And then you just hope that you can get someone young and creative to manage Aaron Rodgers in the offense.
Who in the building?
See what the fuck happens.
Who in the building presently, whoever's left in the building, has the sense to manage that up and tell Woody that's a good hire? Who's looking for the
Brick
region?
Johnson.
Brick.
Mac Nagy.
Nagy, no!
Nagy.
That's
Oh, God.
one of the
Mate,
It's
one of the
funny,
Jets
it's
forum.
one of those things. So it's basically what you're looking for is what Matt was talking about with Harbaugh.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
But that's what we need. But it's not going to happen. It's the New York Jets. We're going to wind up. We will find. Fucking. This is like hiring Adam Gase all over again.
You're getting
I don't know
Mike
why that
McCarthy.
was a good idea.
You're getting Mike McCarthy.
And again,
Reunion with Aaron
like
Jesus
if
Christ.
You get Mike
Dallas,
McCarthy when Dallas fucking.
if Dallas do get rid of him, who do we get? Robert. Let's do a trade. I mean, you can't.
Nathaniel
Let's
Hackett
just
won
trade
that
Robert
from
Saleh
him.
for Mike McCarthy. We can't. He's a free agent.
Well, Robert Saleh has gone up to the Packers, and look at that defense since.
Anyway, Mitch, your point for the fourth
Dallas
down.
will get a big name head coach.
You reckon sack Mike McCarthy regardless?
Like I think that like
I would.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think they will.
You've hated him.
I do, but
Well, you spent more time on the phone bitching about Mike McCarthy than anything
no,
else in your life.
I've bitched more about Mike Zimmer than Mike McCarthy. And look at the last 3 weeks, our defense is like number 5 in the fucking NFL the last 3 weeks with yards and
Is
points.
he good down, by the way?
Sorry,
No,
Mitch.
no.
Oh, do you want to go down?
Oh no, I thought that was your down with Mike McCarthy with Dallas.
Is that your
Yeah,
down?
well, yeah, that was going to be it. Like, is Mike McCarthy going to survive? Obviously, the last, what, is it 5 of the last 6 they've won? Or
5 of the last 6, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it four?
5. If it wasn't for the stupid fumble last week, Dallas would be on a 6-game winning streak.
Yeah. I thought it was 5 of the last 6, and they're now, what, 7 and 8? So
Yeah.
they were 1 and 6.
Yeah. 2 and 6.
times.
So,
Can you say that again, Evan?
Well,
What? So I didn't hear anything about this winning streak. I'm a bit confused. What was it?
yeah, it was 6, yeah. Well,
Do you know, you've said this 4 or 5 times today.
it is what it is. Like being a mid-team.
you are.
Woo.
The record says you are.
That's
Mid.
true. That's true.
They're in a position now. Like, obviously, if they bottomed out and went 5-12 or whatever, like he's gone. But if they scrape a winning record out of this season, which is unlikely but possible,
Depends next week if Jalen Hurts plays.
yeah, like if they're probably going to be favourite if they line up against Kenny Pickett.
Commies, depending on 6 or 7 seed, they could rest players. Who knows? Comes to
Yeah,
Dallas
there's a
last
possibility they end up with a positive record. from like a team that looks like they could be a top 5 draft pick mid-year. Are they going to run it back with him? It's such an interesting thing because he's done a reasonably good job in the first 2 years.
I was saying that I was bitching to John on the phone that. So the 4 years he's been at Dallas, the first year 6 and 10, the next 3 years.
Sorry, the years 2 and 3. I mean, yeah.
The first year 6 and 10, and the next 3 10 and 5. The first year in 2020, Dak snapped his leg week 4. This year, look at Dak week 6. So both times Dallas were under 800. 800, 8 wins. Under 500, Dak wasn't there. So I think from a neutral standpoint, you're looking at it, when their quarterback is there the full year, they're a playoff team. So
I reckon that the fact
and as well,
that
you've got to look at the market. I don't know who Dallas would want to get. Who would suit Dallas?
Is the fact that he's done probably his best work when they've had a backup quarterback shows that he's done a decent job? Is that a genuine argument? Like, you do more coaching when you don't have the quarterback of better talent to lean on, and they've had a good record with Cooper Rush at quarterback.
He's only lost 4 games. He lost 1 game to Philly last year, lost to Philly this year. Cincinnati, and throw in one other loss. I think it was Atlanta.
The problem is we're talking about Jerry Jones. And so just like we talk about Woody Johnson, we talk about Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones has obviously had a lot more success, but he is, like in the last 15 years,
Lost it.
he's a little bit weird.
Well, they wanted to.
He's just very unpredictable. Like look at this situation. Look at the shit that he says in the media. You know, recent
squirrels.
Who is
Eating raccoons and squirrels.
Outside of Ben Johnson, like look when John was talking about for the Jets, like retreads that are like veteran class at best. Like we're talking very old bottles of wine. Those 2 coaches, like outside of Ben Johnson, who could take who'll get off at any job he wants, basically.
Do you know who I would love to see in Dallas? Eric Bieniemy.
No.
Didn't he get fired from a college season?
Yeah. But like, who are the in terms of what will they'll inevitably get a number of open coaching roles in 3 Mondays' time or 2 Mondays' time. Who is going to be the top potential coaching options for teams looking to change coaches that aren't current coaches? I think is really interesting. Like there was
Robert Saleh,
a lot longer list last year. Robert Saleh, be on it.
It's much shorter. Right.
Saleh was a good coach.
Vrabel, if he doesn't go to Vegas.
Yeah, Vrabel, Saleh.
See that.
Deion Sanders is, oh my God, if Deion Sanders coaches Dallas after doing that shoot, no. That's something Jerry Jones would do. Publicity all the way. Look at me, I've got prime time. Then we're going to bottom out to 4 and fucking 13 and draft his son.
I wouldn't have thought Coach Prime would be interested in getting to the NFL. Like, it seems what he excels at is connecting with the kids in college and not fucking around with like big money contracts. These are kids that are trying
Who knows, it's Jerry Jones after all we're talking about.
But then if it is the Cowboys, that's a possible exception. I can see Prime going there.
Yeah.
But probably not though. I don't think so.
Is it like the publicity thing's so interesting. Like
the thing is, I think it's more interesting if they do re-sign him. What do they re-sign him to? Do they go 2 years? Does they fuck another 4? Does he just sign him for a year? Because he was offered a 4-year deal at the start with 3 years with a year extension. This year was a year extension, obviously after the 12-5 previous year.
But that's the thing about Jerry Jones, right? Oh, you've had a 12-5 season. You've been doing pretty well. We've made the playoffs a few times. Only giving you 1 more year. You're on the hot seat.
What about this part? Like, you're in a division where, like, publicity, if you get Deion Sanders, like, the OC of the team that's winning the division was your OC. Like, the DC of the team that's ranked second is the head coach of the second team. Like, yeah, I mean, they've butchered their chances a little bit the last 2 years.
You'd say that about a lot of teams. Look at San Fran.
Yeah, well,
I know they made a Super Bowl, but yeah, you have to win it.
Dallas are just a team that butchered their chance 1 week before San Francisco butchered their chance every year.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to bring this up because Mitch, you weren't here last week, but I did suggest that there was a big trade in the works at the end of this season. I want to gauge your opinion on this. Remember which trade I was talking about, fellas?
Let's go.
So this is what I think. I think there's going to be a big blockbuster trade between the Niners and a team up in the NFC North, the Bears. Can you guess what that trade's going to be?
He didn't listen to the potty.
Picks. Oh, you didn't listen?
Nah, well,
Multiple picks?
A key piece for the Niners.
Very key piece to Niners. So I reckon this relationship is just
You could say close to the sidelines.
Yeah, you're saying Shanahan,
Yeah.
Caleb together, hey?
I do believe that's what's going to happen next year. And so now let me ask you the question: Is there
What are the Niners getting?
probably like 2 first-round picks and I don't think there'll be any players involved, but it'll be like
Are we talking rebuild for the Niners as a result?
could be.
Too many old players.
Could be. There's a lot of old players, but I want to now. The reason why I bring that up is because I want to see. I mean, is there anyone the Cowboys could trade for,
Trade forward, could get away.
coach-wise? Because
Current coach, yeah.
Andy Reid.
McCarthy's in his last year, right? So there is no
Andy
trading
Reid
away.
left Patrick Mahomes to get a Dak Prescott. Oh, man. Cooper Rush actually will be the starter, won't he?
Like, who can come in there really quickly and get that team just in a really great position? Fix the defense.
Mike Tomlin is guaranteed he's going to get us.
Tomlin could.
Yeah, and you know what? Tomlin, look, Pittsburgh don't have a tendency to go through coaches very often.
They had three
They've had
coaches
three
since like the
coaches.
70s.
Yeah,
There's no way
exactly.
that someone will leave Pittsburgh. That's like inconceivable.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever happen. But yeah, I don't know.
I'm thinking who else? Oh, the GOAT, but obviously Detroit won't get rid of him.
Who?
Just
Dan
bring
Campbell.
the whole
Just
Detroit
bring
staff.
Detroit.
Just bring Detroit. Just fucking merge
The
them.
problem is in Dallas they haven't got the Detroit attitude.
I don't think that it will happen. But
No,
like, what
I
if
don't- we won't
what
trade.
if
Do you
January
think it'll
goes?
happen to Shanny?
What if January's a
It'll happen to
night?
Shanny.
What if January's a nightmare for Buffalo?
Ooh.
Like they're not moving on Josh Allen, obviously. So at some point, if this happens again, like there's going to be
Gotta
pressure on
change something.
McDermott. Like that's harsh, but that's reality. Like,
Imagine Shanahan and McDermott to swap.
he'd be the only those two would be the only long-term coaches of perennially good franchises for the last 6 or 7 years that would be on the hot seat. And the reason they're on the hot seat is because they've been perennially good and not won a Super Bowl.
Well, talking about trade talks, Michael was asked on his podcast about moving away from Dallas, and he goes, I always want to be a Cowboy, I always want to be that. He goes, with my contract upcoming, I don't want to be fucked around, but I'm not going to ask for that top money because I know we need to build pieces around me. I don't know how true that is. If that is true. No, listen here. What's
paid.
20 million to 25? Keep the 5 million and help the team out.
Can I say what's 20 million and 25 in a state that has no income tax?
Yeah.
It's 5. Right?
Yeah, true.
In a state that has no income
Yeah, but
tax,
commercials.
it's $5 million.
Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys are
Yeah, but
leading
as
captain.
a linebacker, your career is much shorter than a quarterback. If anyone should be doing that, it should be Dak Prescott.
He is, with his one hamstring.
What, taking a pay cut? Is he? No, he's not. Right? He's not taking.
That's
a
why I
pay
was
cut.
annoyed with the
He's not
contract. I
taking
get
a
it,
free
but he
team
should have
friendly deal.
taken the cut.
Micah Parsons.
It's hard to get
Micah,
his
if you
Cook
watch our podcast in the unlikely event that you watch this
We
episode,
love you.
Micah-
Say as Dallas, number 11.
no, Micah, take the money. Take the money. You have a short time to play. Take the money.
I get CD taking the money because it was his first contract, but Dak, because it was his second contract, should have been a bigger man. You've got all the commercials, you've got the hot wife for the second kid on the
hard to
way.
get out of
Take
it.
the small
It's
contract.
hard to get into people's pockets, but it is tried and tested that if you take unders, the rest of your team will be better.
Yeah, well,
Mahomes is an example of that.
Tom Brady.
Tom
Tom
Brady's
Brady,
the ultimate.
TB12.
Yeah, I
Vitamin.
mean, Tom Brady invented that concept, right?
Yeah.
Let's move on completely and talk about let's talk about games upcoming. I think that's what we've got to jump to. Matt, do you feel okay with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you think
Okay.
about Mike McCarthy? We didn't speak to you about it. Do you reckon keep or go? Quick one.
I think Jerry Jones is fucking old,
You
and
know that.
Stephen
he's
Jones,
probably, and I think there's a great misconception around Jerry Jones that he, with the whole, who was that coach you guys had back in the day? That
Oh,
argument
not
with
Jason
Jimmy Johnson.
Garrett. Before Jason Garrett?
Jimmy Johnson, we talked.
Jimmy Johnson.
Jim
Yeah.
Johnson.
I feel like he's probably far more loyal to his coaches than what we think, and he's old, and he'll probably stick with the devil he knows than the one he doesn't. So I think
So
McCarthy.
say, you reckon?
He's gone.
Gone? You reckon gone?
I just think they have to make a change. Yeah.
It's not listening to me.
I think he's done an okay job, to be honest,
Stay.
but I think that they need to be in the position of when should they be striving for being better than okay.
Stay,
Yeah.
2-year deal. Watch it happen.
Cool. Moving on.
Before we get on to the games, let's go through the playoff picture. I think we've kind of spoken about it, but we'll probably informally talk about
Good idea.
a great idea.
AFC. We have number 1 seed Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo number 2, Pittsburgh at 3, Houston 4, Baltimore 5, the Chargers 6, Denver 7, and we have 3 teams in the
hunt.
AFL still in the hunt on the bubble. We got the Colts, the Dolphins, and the Bengals all 7 and 8, all with a chance. And whatever credence you place with these playoff predictors, apparently the Chargers are 90% to make the playoffs, and the Denver Broncos are 84% chance. So what has to happen for them to lose, and then for either Colts, Dolphins, or Bengals to not just win out, but be dependent on other results as well.
It's set.
Right.
The
It's more or
AFC
less
is not
set.
changing. The only thing that's going to change in the AFC is whether or not it's
Pittsburgh,
Baltimore or
yeah.
Pittsburgh that's
No,
going to win the division.
I think it depends this week because you have the Bengals still in the hunt versus the Broncos. The Broncos play the Chiefs the last week. Who knows if the Chiefs somehow do slip up against the Steelers this week? They have to win next week to get that number 1 seed. So we could see the Broncos using 2 on the trot. Colts only need to win 1 and they're in.
Yeah,
So
unless Buffalo lose. Yeah, this week. Yeah.
No, I'm saying if Kansas City just lose to Steelers and Buffalo win, they're a game behind them.
Yeah.
So it just depends on this week. Obviously, Broncos win, it's set.
Yeah.
That's my only.
Yeah.
And NFC. So outcomes this week have strengthened Detroit's position. I know for the last couple of weeks I've been doubtful about the Lions.
It's unfathomable that they're 13-2 and still in.
It's actually
Guys,
insane. It's
how have we
actually
gone maybe an hour into this podcast and not talked about that fake trip play?
insane. Oh man.
That's just the Lions.
We're doing it at the back as well.
Yeah,
I know.
Goff. Actually, what Goff said in the post game press conference that Ben Johnson came to him in the week and said, "Do you think you could intentionally fumble the ball?" That was the original plan, was to actually drop the ball on the ground. And Goff's like, "Yeah, I'm not sure about that." And they're like, "Yeah, it's probably a bad idea." They schemed it up. They practiced it about 3 or 4 times. And,
Ben Johnson, a genius. Honestly.
that is unbelievable. And not just him fumbling. It's also stumbling.
Jimmy Gibbs just faking
Jimmy
it as well.
Gibbs falling to the ground.
Yeah, to recover it.
Yeah.
Should be on Laporta to
Yeah,
say
just
push up that extra
yeah.
2 meters.
Probably shows he's a genius and the Bears are a parody.
Yeah, it's really a tale of 2 AFC North teams, isn't it?
Yeah.
Polar opposites, man.
Yeah.
You idiot!
Oh, crazy. Anyway,
Yeah,
sorry
Craig
about
on.
that.
Yeah, they're 3-2 now, and Eagles losing today as well. In that, what a game, by the way. How do I talk about that? Fucking 5 turnovers, and they still lose the game. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Can they pick it? They still win the game.
Can they
That was
pick it?
incredible.
Yes, they can.
Still on board with him. So you got the Lions,
Really?
the Eagles, the Rams at 3, the Falcons at 4, Vikings 5, Packers 6, Commanders 7. The 5, 6, and 7 teams are all 13-2, 10-4 Monday night here in Australia, and 10-5 for the Commanders. And you have the 3 and 4 seed, the Rams and the Falcons, who are 8-6 and 8-7. It just looks
that's how it works.
so funny. It's just.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately how it works, and you have the 2 teams outside looking in at the moment are the Bucks and Hawks, 8-7. I think all those 2 teams. What do you reckon?
Do you see a chance for Seattle?
No, not with the schedule.
Do you play the Rams again?
No, we've already played.
Once again, I think that's pretty well set. I don't think there's going to be a lot of movement.
Yeah, well, I think
The South, you never know in the South, the Bucks and the.
The South is the only one that I think that is a bit. I think the Bucks will do it, but other than that, I
they
think the
can't.
6 or
They
7.
have to have a game clear because the
Yeah,
Falcons
because the
have
Falcons have
Do they have the
Right.
tie? So Falcons got to lose twice.
No, once.
once.
Once?
So Falcons have to lose
They're
once.
tied on record now.
They're tied on
Tied
record
record
now.
2-0.
Right. Okay. So they got.
So-
So one's got to win out. And
Who the Falcons play last 2 weeks? Probably Carolina and someone.
Do they play again?
The Falcons play Commanders and Panthers.
Yeah, so next
Okay,
week's a
so
massive
that
game.
that
for
is a
Commanders.
massive game for the Commanders. Yeah. So the Commanders can probably do that. And who have Tampa Bay got?
Are Bay in the last 2 weeks have Panthers and Saints.
Oh, shoe in. Shoe in. You would hope. You would hope. If you are a well-coached team, or at least as well as you think that you are being coached by Todd Bowles, and if you think you've got the right quarterback and that type of thing, I know they've had some injuries, but you got to beat those 2 teams.
Yeah,
We're
they've
talking
lost
about
to
bottom
Dallas today.
feeders. We're talking about plankton, right?
They've lost to
Versus
Dallas
sharks.
today.
They lost what?
To Dallas today.
They did lose to Dallas today. Yeah, I
Which is a big loss.
understand.
It is.
It was a
And
big
that
loss.
was an incredible.
But can I say?
Bro, the hits.
That second half,
The hits.
man, it was like
Yeah.
Turpin getting
You know
smacked
what?
by
man,
Vita
that was
Vale.
old school.
Oh,
But you
man,
know what?
did
Can I
it
say?
so
Can I
good.
say? Did you guys watch that game?
Yeah.
Yeah, really. I mean, Tampa Bay should have won that game. There was that fumble at the end. It was so stupid. What's a running back doing?
Holding the ball out
What's he
there.
doing running like this? What do they teach you in first grade? Tuck the fucking ball! My God, you don't run like this.
But Baker, even like at the start of the fourth, the amount of 14-yard, 15-yard runs he did, like fucking got out of concussion protocol within 2 minutes. Get me the fuck back.
The two should have been in the concussion protocol.
Mike McCarthy.
In the early window, I saw our great mate, Devin Duvernay. Devin Duvernay back for the Jags, got lit up like a fucking firecracker in the fourth quarter.
He's just come off his hammy and he's got
he's got
He's hasn't had a good 2024, poor bastard.
Are we talking about
the
Matt
Raiders
Eagles, Devin Duvernay fantasy player?
Devin Duvernay,
Do you know what, by the way, that's a mental note. We're bringing back fantasy SKs next year.
I've missed it this year.
I've missed it this year, but I will say,
I've won Josh Allen.
I just say, just speaking of wide receivers making returns and one that didn't make a return at all, what happened to Deontay Johnson?
There's
His
a
cup
lot
by
of mystery.
The
Pittsburgh.
Chiefs are going to pick him up and win a Super
Pittsburgh.
Bowl.
Yeah, Pittsburgh went to where? And then he went to
He went to Panthers and
Panthers,
then back into
and then he got
back into
yeah,
Ravens.
and then he went to the Ravens, and he can't make the
He
field.
played a few snaps, but then there were these
And then he got cut.
personal conduct policy. And
What
then
the
he's got cut.
fuck? You're going to the playoffs. You're shooing for the playoffs. Suck it up, dickhead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume it's just snap hungry, probably just not get the snaps.
Yeah, but just
Imagine.
suck it up. It's all good, man.
Fucking
Someone's
Bieber.
going to get injured. It's the NFL.
But
Yeah.
talking about that playoff picture, clip me, week 18, Minnesota's the number 1 seed.
You still think they're in with a shot?
All they have to do is beat Detroit and have the tiebreaker over them.
Assuming they win this week against Green Bay, isn't it?
Oh, they're playing Green. Oh, fuck, they are. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Maybe not clip it.
Well, Green Bay.
Oh, shit.
You'd think the Lions.
How did Minnesota miss the playoffs?
You'd think the Lions would beat the 49ers, but
Oh, they're both 13 too.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it all comes down to week 18, probably Sunday Night Footy.
Man, who thought?
unless
Sam Darnold would play with a 13
unless
and 2
Detroit
team?
win this
And-
week.
Yeah, like,
If
if it was Kirk Cousins, I don't
Even
think
if
they're playing that well.
Minnesota
No.
drop one.
Absolutely.
Not confident.
All right.
I'll take it down. I don't think Minnesota will win another game this season.
Ooh.
They'll get beat by Green Bay, get beat by the Lions, and then be eliminated.
No, next week isn't the last week. There's a week.
Yeah, I think they'll get beat by the Green Bay, and then get
The
beat
Green
by the
Bay.
Lions.
The Green Bay. Beat by the Bay.
Yeah, so
No, but who do they play next week, Minnesota?
no, there's 2 games
My
left.
God.
No, I'm saying who they beat today. That's all I'm saying. Who they beat today.
Seahawks.
Oh,
Who they play next week?
Green Bay, and
No,
then
no,
I got confused because Green Bay's playing tomorrow. I'm like, fuck.
Today, next week.
Green Bay.
In
Green
week
Bay,
17,
Green
I
Day.
Green Day.
Didn't they play Green Bay
Cracker-
at Minnesota?
Correct.
And then
Cracker Band,
Lions
Green
at
Bay.
Ford.
Yes.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Correct.
For the average
yeah,
American.
they're
idiot.
losing them both.
You're gonna
Yeah,
wow.
and then
Wow.
and then they will be the fifth seed.
Or possible,
Six
possibly
could be.
6 actually.
With the Packers
Because it
and
depends
the
on-
commies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they're the 6th seed, they
Oh no,
get-
they can't because they've got 13. There's only 2 left. Oh, but Packers yet to play, so they could technically be the 6th.
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
Packers win out,
they could be.
they'll be
yeah,
13 and 4.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if Vikings lose out, they'll be 13 and 4. And
Yeah,
Packers off the
tiebreaker.
tiebreaker.
Well, will they? Because currently Packers are 1 and 3 in the division.
Yeah, but then they'll
The
be
Minnesota, if they lose those 2, so they'll be 3 and 3.
Packers will have.
Packers will be. So who Packers got? Packers have got.
Instagram, my logo.
Sorry, Facebook.
No, but Packers have Minnesota next week.
How old are
Who
you?
Packers
70?
got
They
last
must have
week?
Bears in the last game.
13.
If they do have the Bears, and that'll be.
Yeah, they
both
must
be
have.
3
They
and
must
3.
have the Bears because it has to be a
And then
divisional
This
team.
is
It's not
this one with the
Detroit.
members.
It's the
like,
Bears.
if
Yeah.
my
So
grandfather
then the
had
next
Bills in
tiebreaker for
Dubai.
division is
Well, wait till next week with this
Hold
hypotheticals.
on, he's working it out.
the next tiebreaker for a division is strength of victory. No, strength of
Strength.
strength of victory. Strength of victory within division is
Yeah.
the next tiebreaker.
Yeah,
And
Then
then
it's a 2-point play, then it's a coin toss.
well, they'll all have 2 wins against the Bears. They'll both have 2 wins against the Bears, 1 against.
it's a good lead problem.
Yeah, they'll leapfrog them. Minnesota are going to be the 6th seed, and then they're going to get
that
waxed
was-
by first ballot Hall of Famer Matthew Stafford at SoFi.
Fuck.
Nice.
Minnesota won't win.
That
a
is
game
way
in the
more.
rest of the season.
Sorry, Evan. That's way more clippable right there.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
you're looking at the camera and say that
We'll
again.
put them
Green
together.
Bay, after they win tomorrow, are going to beat Minnesota next week. Detroit will beat Minnesota at Ford Field to get the 1 seed for Detroit in week 18. Minnesota will then be going across country to SoFi to be beaten by Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams in
First ballot
week
Hall
1
of
of the
Famer.
playoffs. Matt Stafford on the way to a deep playoff run and a first ballot Hall of Fame in 3 years' time.
Isn't it a 4-year wait?
Well, sorry. Yeah, he's got 2 more years left of his career, I
6
think.
years.
So, yeah, maybe 7 years. And Detroit will play LA in the NFC Championship.
Clip that.
Minnesota, first seed, gets knocked out straight away by Detroit in divisional.
Evan, you look at you leaning over to give him a blowjob. Let's move on.
Let's talk about some games.
Let's talk about games. Just give us 3. Give us 3 games.
Don't give us some shit ones like last week.
Well, we just talked about Green Bay, Minnesota. No.
We're talking about the Tank Bowl, Raiders and Jags.
Oh, come on.
Okay, if we're going to pick 3 that matter.
With the biggest implications.
Okay. All right. Let's go.
Billion
Well, we just spoke
dollars.
about Packers and Vikings. I mean,
Yeah,
Mitch just said his
Packers.
piece. What do you reckon, guys? Packers Vikings.
Jay Jetter's 200 yards, 34-28. Josh Jacobs 2 touchdowns, but Minnesota get it done. Bang.
A lot of fantasy points.
Doesn't matter. Against you. It's going to be the Tank Bowl. Win against the first round pick next year.
Tucker Craft, 13 catches.
Yeah, you need Tucker Craft tomorrow against the Saints.
77 yards.
It won't matter then. It may matter then, hopefully.
200, yeah.
I think that's going to be the game of the week. I think it's going to be a high scoring 34-31 type thing. But there's a different. The biggest difference between those two teams right now are the really big explosive plays, of which outside of Josh Jacobs, you don't see a lot happening in Green Bay. But with Minnesota, both wide receivers, Hawkinson's back and he's been playing great. Like, you see some of these, fuck it, let's throw it up and then see what happens. And they're always coming down for a touchdown, which is why I got Minnesota.
What's the score?
34-31.
34-31. I got Green Bay.
Yeah.
Green Bay.
We'll split down the middle.
Yeah.
Green Day, huh?
The short turnaround's a little bit of a concern. Like Green Bay are going to be playing awful lot in a short period. Probably not as much as.
Mitch likes talking about the travel.
Yeah. They're going into. Yeah, I do think it's a high score. I'm going to go 33. So like the missed PAT in there. 29.
Oh, what a weird score.
Weird score.
Surely it's score Agami, that one.
No, that wouldn't be a score.
What are do we have early odds in that one?
I think the travel's neutralised, but Minnesota obviously played in the Northwest today, so and in the late window.
What is the game, indoors or outdoors?
Indoors.
Oh, well, fuck.
Minnesota.
So the weather's not going to be an issue.
No, I don't think. I mean, I just think they've got a clear. Green Bay got a clear advantage at quarterback, and they'll win.
As it stands, $1.70 Vikings, $2.10 Packers.
Yeah, I think the Packers will win. I'm pretty confident. I think they'll win by.
You want to put that in the multi?
No, it's too tight for the molly.
I might. I'll have a
You
look
might?
at the shortly, but yeah, I think the Packers will win. I'll go 28-20. I think they'll win.
28-20.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right,
Move on.
All right, another one with playoff implications. The now flexed Falcons at Commanders. Both teams are looking to, one team actually looking to stay in the race. I believe the Commanders have clinched. Falcons yet to clinch.
Commanders
the Falcons
potentially staying in the
clinched.
division race if.
Yeah, exactly. If Philly lose to Dallas.
Well,
True.
They played the Giants in the last game, which is basically a bye. So.
Michael panics this week, guys. Didn't look too bad. I'm not sure if anyone watched it, but
Yeah, but you can't trust Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. I haven't trusted him for 3 years.
I'm saying, how did he not know that? Like,
So
surely he was playing
stinks,
fantasy
so.
last
That was
year
so
and
bad.
the year before complaining about Kyle Pitts himself. Like,
Yeah.
and there he is. He's like, mate, I'll fix him. No,
You
won't
won't.
fix shit.
he's cooked.
He's
I don't get it. He didn't catch anything. He only caught 1 pass for 7 yards. He
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
hectic.
They should trade him.
For what?
I don't know, a 5th round pick.
Half inflated balls. Yeah, I think the commies will. The commies have got more to. I don't think they got more to play for, but they got more heart in them.
They're better.
And they're
Back
better.
at home, Washington.
Yeah, so I think Washington win this one. I think they pump them. I think that Dan Quinn's always had a good record against rookie quarterbacks. If you actually go back and look at him as a defensive coordinator, he's always had a really great record against rookie quarterbacks.
He's versing his former team, first time as a head coach.
Former team, there's going to be a lot to play for them still because obviously they could take the division. You don't know what's going to happen. Is Jalen Hurts even going to be back this week? We didn't talk about that, but he was concussed.
How bad was he in the front line? Actually,
He hit the ground hard.
Yeah, his head bounced off the
Philly
ground
will win.
pretty hard.
Philly played the Giants in the last game.
Yeah.
They're going to win the division. The Giants surely have no interest in winning that game.
Well,
Unless they're 2 games
Yeah,
below
but you know what?
everyone
But if
for
you've got no quarterback, I mean, I know that Saquon was just enough to run the ball, but they would probably
the
they would
will
consider
struggle
resting
to score.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the contrary, with the Eagles
Like
won
they could beat the Giants like 9-3 in the last
Mhm.
game.
Well, the Eagles maybe want the Giants to win, so it stuffs their draft position.
I don't think it was.
But then again, it depends on.
Not at the expense of.
You had the Raiders. You had the
Yeah,
Raiders.
not the second. Yeah, second.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it next week when they probably clinch the division. Now I'm going to go to the
Beat Dallas.
Probably. I'm going to go to the Commies. Sunday Night Football, field goal game, 21-18.
Actually,
Alright.
high scoring than that. Commies got a lot of points in. I'm going Commies 34. And I think they'll do well. I'll go 26 for Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't think Atlanta will do anywhere near as well. I've got Commies 30, Atlanta 10.
Yeah.
I got Commanders, but I don't think it's going to be all that high scoring. I don't know. Something tells me it's flexed into a prime time game, and there's a lot of I don't know.
Penalty
I
flags.
yeah, probably a lot of penalty flags.
$9 for the Saints tomorrow morning.
I don't know, like 9
What's the line?
No chance.
2-point game,
14.
19-17 Commanders. They just scraped by. Yeah.
Go Commies.
I'm trying to look.
We're a
for
commie,
another
everyone.
here. Well, how about we do a Christmas game? There's 2 Christmas games. Probably one with probably more. Actually, they're both.
They're good.
Actually, they're both.
Good bet,
Actually, they're both have implications. All right, here we go. Chiefs at Steelers. So Steelers.
Chiefs. Why are we talking about it? They're going to win.
Oh, fuck you, Evan.
15-1.
Jesus Christ. Would you like to pick a game? Is there a game?
Jesus Christ on Christmas.
Is there a game you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Dallas.
No, Arizona, Los
What
Angeles.
the hell's wrong with you? Arizona's eliminated you, dumbass.
Doesn't matter.
What the
James
fuck is wrong
Conner,
with
4
you?
touchdowns.
Oh,
What's that got to do with anything?
we
You
go
don't
around?
know that because if Christian makes it next week.
Honestly, no, a funny one. Fuck it. Raiders, Saints.
No, let's talk about
This is
Heartland
stupid.
football.
Where did we start? We started
Kansas
at
City, Pittsburgh,
yeah, and
Heartland game, Christmas afternoon.
Okay,
How
true.
good was it?
working class fan base
Yeah.
who demand to be heard in Trump's America.
Yeah. Like,
Okay,
we're
fine.
no longer the silent majority. Red voters
There's no red teams.
hold every single level of government. Yeah.
Tennessee, Jacksonville.
Good areas too, both red areas.
Nah, look, let's go Pittsburgh
Yeah.
and Chiefs.
Yeah, it's
And
a great
I'm
game.
calling for an upset because I think that Pittsburgh have got more to play for here.
I got that feeling too, man.
Yeah, because Pittsburgh got way more to play for here.
Hey, and
Kansas
this
City
is like
pretty
all
much
the,
got first.
all the advantages Kansas City have, like in the very key positions. Pittsburgh really similar like that. Like
Yeah.
great coach, obviously not as good a quarterback, but a really good veteran quarterback. Like strong enough running game, great pass rusher,
Yep,
unbelievable kicker, probably the best kicker in the NFL these days.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oh,
Brandon
so
Aubrey.
there they
Brandon
go.
Aubrey's fan. You gotta hang on to something. It was like something me with Nick Folk 2 years ago, who is a good kicker still. But yeah,
Plays for
it's
Tennessee.
hard to pick against Kansas City, isn't it?
It is, but I think
Kansas
the
City
Steelers
lost
are
against the
better.
Ravens Christmas last year.
They
Yeah, that was last year. Was that on this day?
No, it's not Raiders. That was 2 in a row in this period last year. Hey,
Or was it Raiders?
Yeah.
Sorry, Raiders.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
sorry,
Raiders-
it was-
Raiders
it was
Black
Raiders.
Friday.
Sorry,
Black
yeah,
Friday.
it was Raiders.
The Niners got absolutely whacked by the Ravens. Like the Ravens
Yes,
went
sorry.
across the country.
It was the Ravens
You're
beating the
idiots.
Niners
Yeah.
and Raiders beating.
Yeah, Kansas
The
City
Chiefs.
lost a bunch of money.
You know what it is for me? It's just that like Kansas City are so close to locking up the first seed, but Pittsburgh have still got the division to play for, and I think they're going to play harder for that than Kansas City is going to play for first, because it's highly unlikely that Kansas City will lose the first seed. I believe, and you know that defense is amazing up in Pittsburgh. They'll do way more damage than what the Texans were able to do on defense. Mahomes is not healthy. I don't think he looks healthy.
Looked right in the 15-yard scramble for a
Yeah,
touchdown.
yeah, okay. One play, but he wasn't that
One
healthy.
play.
There's no
One
doubt,
referee.
There's no doubt that if New England had won today, they'd have sat Mahomes here.
Yeah.
100% they would have sat him. Like
Yeah.
if Buffalo lost today.
You got a
Sure,
score,
they
you got a
would have
score, Joel?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a real tight one. 24-17 Pittsburgh.
Kansas City 14, Pittsburgh 10.
Oh, God. Boring Christmas.
It's forecast to be 3 degrees.
Yeah, this would be brutal. Like, this would be
Pennsylvania.
Did you
Well,
say 3 degrees?
yeah,
Three.
like one
Celsius.
turnover
Celsius.
each, like just a lot of running game. Yeah, it'd be
Nice.
What do you got?
I got going into 4 seconds remaining, 17-16 Pittsburgh, and then the Bud game himself, 53-yarders. They've done it again. They've done it again.
53 yarders, so 50 field goals and 50 yards out.
I'm going to say he kicks 2 53-yard field goals separately in the same game. One of them will win the game. It won't hit the post, but they've done it again. How have they done it? Oh, on to next week. Blah,
I think
blah, blah.
Steelers will do a Chiefs for the Chiefs. So it'll be 20-20,
Left field goal?
and they'll have a long drive at the end, and Boswell from relatively far out nailing it of 23-20.
If I'm in the championship weekend, hopefully
Tears his hamstring.
70-yarder.
I think I think this game's played a lot in between the red zones. Or it'll just be brutal.
Yeah. Let's wait for that. The other Christmas game, Ravens at Texans, and I know Texans have locked up the division, but Ravens also having a lot to play for, competing for the division title.
By the way, can we
What do you
just talk
reckon?
about the Texans really quickly?
Yes.
I mean, we started this year saying, the Texans, red hot, wow, CJ Stroud, potential MVP candidate, how hot are the Texans going to be this year? I think they're going to be unbelievable. They started the year really well. Obviously, a lot of injuries. Tank Dell done for the season. That was really sad.
Man, far
But, the Texans to me now look like a sitting duck. I think they're going to lose week 1 because it's likely that the Texans will wind up playing the Ravens if this stays, right? So, let's say, because I don't think is it almost impossible for the Ravens to lose the 5th seed?
Well,
No,
it depends
if they won't drop the 2. They've got the Texans this week.
they're more likely to get.
I think
the
they'll beat the
3 seed
Texans
than the 6 seed. I think.
Yeah, that's what well, you reckon?
They can drop
Yeah.
us. They can drop as far as 7.
They can. Well, I still think it'll wind up being if Pittsburgh
They're gonna win
if Pittsburgh win the division, I think it'll wind up being
Yeah, Ravens will.
the
Ravens will
Ravens
win out.
and Texans in week 1 of the playoffs, and I think that'll be just a schmozzle for the Texans.
Yeah.
But
So it could be a trap game. Maybe the Ravens.
this could be a look into what the playoffs are going to look like. But I think Baltimore runs away with this one. I think they run away big. I think it's going to be 30 to 17 or something along those lines.
Yeah, bigger for me. Houston 17, Baltimore 41.
Nice.
Spank them.
41.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
17.
Yeah.
I really hope so.
Houston. I'm joking.
Houston
I'm
has a
gonna
problem.
I'm going to
They
say
do a lot of injuries and they're an okay young team, but Baltimore, proper elite.
24-20, 2 defensive touchdowns for Baltimore, so this dick doesn't get any points for fantasy grand final.
I haven't even made it.
You will make it as of this recording.
Motherfucker
so
Kraft.
facetious?
I mean, Tucker.
We don't want the team
fuck
with
Kraft,
the
fuck
most
Kraft.
wins winning. Is what it is. It's like now everyone's saying the Chiefs. It's like, oh, we've seen
Nobody's
it.
ever gonna
We want him to win. The other person is Christian.
Yeah, but we're not going to pay him.
What Christian?
Guys,
Yeah.
no, the viewers do not care about this. There's some guy in fucking Idaho listening to this oh, the fuck's Christian? No one cares
They
about
love
it.
Christians
Let's
in
have a
Idaho.
go.
They probably love Christians in Idaho.
Actually, they love Christians in Idaho, but they don't know who Christian is, and they certainly don't care
What
about
a
Idaho
Patriot
references
fan.
in this
Look up
podcast?
the Southern Districts rugby.
Most top point scorer on 2021.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
On the biggest
Houston
swing, Scotland
having
for
trouble
America.
stopping the run. I think Derrick Henry rushes in for 3.
Oh, God.
They really beat them on the ground.
Not bad for the third place
I
game.
think a 3 score as well. So we'll go. Oh fuck! I don't
But
know.
again,
high
Wednesday.
30s and high teens. I'm not giving a score here. I don't even know. Something in that ballpark.
all right,
We've done our games.
we have done our games, which means it's 2 spots left for today's podcast. By the way, this has been a long one, which is cool. When we get back in the studio, they do get a little bit longer.
Yeah,
They get a little bit more loosey-goosey. We'll hopefully be able to afford
They
our
get
own
fucking
studio
good.
soon. But,
Well, with this next segment, we are heading towards owning something soon.
we are. Mitch's multi.
Yes, we had to sit out last week with my lack of attendance, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That was last week's multi. We nearly
Yeah.
got there, but
Yeah,
Johnny
yeah.
wanted to
Oh
back
yeah,
his
what was
Patty
the
Mahomes.
yeah, what was it?
Well,
what
at
was
the time, he was
last week?
questionable.
So at the time, he bet at the Texans being the favorite $1.80 with news that Mahomes could be out. As soon as the news was Mahomes was in, Texans jumped out to 240. Kansas City got the job, but then Matt with the plus 4.5 Carolina
Easy.
against Arizona.
Easy cover.
Green tick.
Easy.
Evan telling Matt to get fucked and watch Minnesota beat Seattle. They just did. Tick. So 2 for 3, not
That
bad.
sucks.
What do you mean not bad? You lose $50.
Yeah, but again,
Doesn't
me
mean-
and Matt were right. It's okay. It's going to come back with
You
this.
wouldn't have lost
later.
any if I was there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
What was your bet?
What would you have done, honestly?
I can't go backwards now. But I will go forward this week. And Meatloaf said 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but then again, he's no longer with us.
Is it time to play the game?
I think that we should go you did go 3 legs, which I like. Let's go 3 legs. Let's go a dirty little line in it as well to start. I think
back of the line.
New Orleans plus 16.5 tomorrow.
No, I don't want to be touching New Orleans. I think they'll get beat by more than that, but it's just such a big line. And you're vulnerable to the old backdoor cover with that shit. Speaking of backdoor covers, was anyone watch the Tennessee versus Indianapolis game?
No.
Did anybody
God.
draft Indianapolis's defense in this week?
That's crazy.
Conceded 23 points in 6 minutes at the end to go from 38-7 to 38-30, and then have to convert 2 third downs to win the game. Like crazy
And
stuff.
Richardson was
I
celebrating.
did pick up Jonathan Taylor, which doesn't do anything but 45 points.
I think we're going with the LA Rams minus 5.5 away at Arizona.
That was a game I wanted to preview.
Yeah, we're going
Minus 5.5,
Yeah, the Rams minus 5.5. They are going to absolutely dominate. We are then going back to head-to-head functionality, and that functionality is going to be all over.
Buffalo over New York. What's the line there?
Yeah, well, Buffalo will beat New York, but
Plus 9.5 isn't bad. Minus
Go
9.5.
head to head on that one.
What, $1.19? I'm not going to win anything there.
No. But I'll tell you where we are going to win. We are going to
Good
go
plus.
for the Green Bay Packers $2.
Oh, wow.
We're going to get involved, and then we're going to just put the dirtiest of little bits of cream on there. We'll go the Colts $1.23 head to head against the Giants.
Yuck. Yuck.
The three-legger paying with the power play, $5.29. Chuck a fitty on it.
That shit on.
We've still got around $800 in the account.
The Rams are going to do the job.
That's the
$2.60 bad. They
Click
might as well
that, mate.
spend that already. Actually, that's going to get the job done. The Packers,
Excellent.
the Rams, and whoever the fuck's against the Giants. The Giants are actively not trying at the moment.
All will be
Actively
done
not trying at all.
by 5 a.m. Monday. Hopefully, when we wake up.
I know they're literally like the worst team in football.
The Giants would get beat.
fucking worst
The
team in
Giants
football.
would
They're
get
so
beat
bad.
double digits by any other team in the NFL right
They'll
now.
probably get beat by Oregon. Honestly,
Oh, no.
they're playing. The Giants are playing so poorly.
Yeah,
They just got beat by Michael Penix.
Yeah, you couldn't
His
lose.
first pro game, man.
Yeah, but Atlanta have
Seriously.
multiple first round picks, good players.
I don't know.
We'll talk about the Giants. Even the Raiders going from the first pick, the win over Jacksonville jumps them up to the 6th pick. So sorry, Shador. No more thanking God. You got to thank New York.
Okay, God.
Okay.
Well, no, because he keeps saying thank you God after
Where's
every Raiders.
Patriots 2 now?
Yeah, buddy. Maybe the Giants do win and Patriots
The
getting.
Patriots doing a great job here, being competitive and losing.
You reckon you get Travis Hunter?
Hopefully,
Or Travis or Shador? Who'd you rather?
Travis.
What do you mean? Drake Mays look great.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, you know how we were talking
Travis.
about Travis Hunter a few weeks ago, whether he'll play
Corner or
both
whatever.
ways, or whether he'd be corner, but also whether he'd play both ways. Prime was
Both ways.
Both ways. Prime was talking about that this week, where he said he will be actively involved to ensure that he does play both sides of the ball.
Okay.
And he
He can say what he wants for headlines. It's just not going to happen in the NFL.
yeah, but it was interesting that he was pretty forthright. He did. It was interesting. He said something to the effect of like, yeah, he should play. He'll be playing all the snaps at corner. He'll be playing all the snaps at corner.
tells him to fuck off.
His receiver is like, but if he's not involved in like a whole bunch of packages in your offense, and he's just wasting his talent.
Yeah, I get. That's probably the right.
That's a fair
opinion.
statement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like if Mike Vrabel coaches Vegas, and I can imagine Mike Vrabel's going to make fuck off.
Yeah,
Probably.
Speaking of fucking off, we're about to do that, but not before garbage time.
Sponsored by. Oh wait, no commercials.
No,
No commercials,
we-
but there
we-
is a
we said
sponsor.
that. We
There
said
is a
that.
sponsor.
And he comes straight from AT&T Stadium. We're eliminated. It's only taking us 10 years of fucking shit, and yet again, no other Super Bowl or playoff run for Dallas.
What you
Next year's our year. Don't you worry. It's coming soon,
Yeah,
boys.
that's right. Cooper Rush once he's under center all 17.
Exactly. Once we get rid of Zeke's $12 million contract and $1 million contract, we'll be good.
Although if he didn't score that 1 yarder today, he wouldn't have won.
Hey, if only Zeke was fucking... Not Zeke.
Yeah, but he's all like weight. Like
Yeah.
he just falls over the line.
Yeah, like
Eddie Lacy.
Alabama, great too.
Alabama grade he was. Yeah.
Job. Go, 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 go.
No,
I was
Mark,
going to say, did anyone see this Shane Gillis thing with Nick Saban?
Oh my god, that was so good.
Is this a social media thing?
No, he was
Yeah.
there for
He was on
College
the
Game
college-
Day with like Pat McAfee, Shane Gillis,
And Nick Saban, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he was saying, he made a joke, right? And he was like, because he was talking about, because he's a big Notre Dame fan or whatever, and he was saying, I can't remember the exact joke. And then Nick Saban got his fucking arc up. He's like, no, we didn't do any cheating or something like that. He's like, oh, is this not?
This is not a fun show. This is a fun show.
Can I make a joke? You can see Nick Saban's all fucking fully
He got
frozen up.
really
He's talking
defensive.
about the whole NIL thing, and then that just makes him look so guilty. But the funniest part was that Nick Saban was wearing basically one of those fucking cork bucket hats.
Oh yeah, I've seen him. He had a huge rant about how players shouldn't care about what people say about them on social media and stuff. And all
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it was on the same this week's College Game Day. Yeah.
No, you should go take a look at that. Evan.
The garbage time question actually came earlier today when me and John were talking about the great times and the great year of 1969, when the Jets changed NFL history with a certain merger.
I thought you were talking about Charles Manson's.
Summer of 69.
Remember that movie that Leonardo DiCaprio? Scorsese made that weird ass fucking weird cat.
Obviously the Jets' big Super Bowl 3 win against the Baltimore Colts made the AFL merger with the NFL. Question is, what if conferences now were only played within the conference and there was no interconference games between the NFC and the AFC up until that only one Super Bowl game? Would it be interesting? Would you hate it? Would you like it?
From today, you mean?
Let's say from next season. So you would never say AFC versus NFC, only in the Super Bowl. So you'll never say Chiefs versus Dallas or Lions versus Bills again.
Well, first of all, I think you have a 15-game season, which would be a bit weird.
No, because you'll probably play you'll definitely play two divisions.
Because you play your own. You play
your own division twice.
Yeah, so that's 6 games.
You'll play,
and then you play 4-4-4.
Yeah.
Which is
10, 14, 18.
Unless you change the
format.
18
games.
Unless you change the format.
That's what they've wanted the whole time.
Unless you change the format entirely, you just play every team within the conference once. Because there's 16 teams.
Yeah.
No, I think you'd go 18 games.
Because it's unfair to play.
Season actually makes sense.
I think make it 40 games.
Yeah.
If you survive, you survive. You die, you die. Sorry, Tua, get the fuck out there.
The more football, the better.
Every 3 days, or are we doing 40 weeks?
40 weeks.
Okay. Every 3 days like baseball.
No, you can't be playing twice a week, but you can be playing on 40 weeks.
Could you imagine CTE if you played twice a week?
Yeah.
But yeah, going on the point, you reckon it'll be more fun or it'll be boring, just wishing the hypothetical? I wish the Lions would play the Chiefs, or it's just more of a anticipation.
I don't think it'll be that much of a change. The rivalries that most fans look forward to are in division, then in conference, and then most of your long-term rivalries, obviously at playoff level, they don't meet each other until the last game. So
I'm just getting rid of
the
6
game. Make that much of a difference, realistically. It's a bit of a boring answer, but
yeah, I think the thing is it matters more when you're mates with people who follow teams outside of your own conference, right? So the fact is, we maybe this year notwithstanding, because the Jets weren't really playing for anything, but if it was a different scenario where both our teams were playing for something, we might have gotten together and watched that game, which we actually did 4 years ago. I'm pretty sure we did. Same thing with Dallas. We've gotten together.
Next year, the NFC East
we
third
place.
place.
Basically every Dallas game.
Next year, the NFC East third place versus the AFC East third place.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
We'll be going to MetLife. Fuck
so
yeah.
that might happen. Whereas when you're playing inside the division, to that point, right? The Pats, we play the Pats twice every year, so it's not like we've got that same excitement. We know it's the teams are going to play.
Yeah.
So what does it really matter as much? No, it's definitely not exciting at the moment. So what does it matter as much? But when you go with this outside of conference thing, I think that's kind of cool. So I'd miss that. But otherwise, the NFL's the NFL. It is what it is. We enjoy watching it because it's
you reckon because you'll leave more of
each other.
I think the good example is the best 3 teams in football this year: Detroit, Buffalo, Kansas City, maybe and we had such a buzz for Buffalo, Kansas City, and then when Buffalo played Detroit 2 weeks later, everyone was like, "Oh, this would be great," and it was a great game. But it was okay, cool,
they get blitzed.
Yeah. Oh, the game didn't have that.
Detroit was
doesn't have, but the game doesn't have the gravitas of the
Super Bowl.
Yeah, but it's just better. It's just better in the AFC. The AFC's got all the old, except for Lambeau, all the old school winter fields. It's just traditional. The big AFC teams are just the Kansas City Pittsburgh will be so good. That's just football porn basically.
And the Bengals. They're on the Bengals as well.
Yeah.
outside of the defense this year, like throwing the Bengals, and you've got the, I'd like to see those teams play each other 3 times a year, 4 times a year.
Buffalo, like all these football in the snow, and then you go over and like half the West Coast, and like you're playing in like Arizona.
Look, it's like watching the Yankees and the Red Sox, right? They play each other maybe 10 times a year, but it's just.
So I
guess that point then, so your question is, so over time, I guess it'll have more enriching rivalries over time beyond the division, because you're going to have the more conference games, you'll see more people within the conference more often. Mm-hmm. The big lingering question toward the end of the year, obviously, absence of a Super Bowl is like who's the best of the 2 conferences, which would kind of suck.
No, there's still the Super Bowl, I'm saying. But that's the only time an AFC and NFC team play like it was back in the day. Because it wasn't for the Jets to win, you only had the one league.
And baseball were like that too until they went into league.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think much changes. Mitch is right, but I think you would just get way more interesting rivalries. Yeah, I mean,
because right now, what would you say the biggest AFC NFC rivalry is? I don't know. I'll put my head up. Dallas and Pittsburgh.
It'd be teams that like share a stadium, perhaps. So like the Giants and the Jets hate each other because they share a stadium.
LA.
We have like those with the rich history, like the Steelers and Eagles, who were once the same team for one season back in the 40s. The Steagles.
Yeah. Giants and Patriots are the 2 Super Bowls. That's a real
they're close to each other
at the moment.
Yeah, they're close. Yeah,
it would have been the Giants and the Patriots 5 years ago because of the Super Bowl stuff. But yeah, they both obviously stink right now.
What other big?
There isn't really, because the NFL hasn't been designed that way. You only play the team once every 4 years.
Kansas City Niners the last 5 years probably is the biggest, maybe.
Yeah, but that's like
what the Patriots and the Giants were like.
They're not always competing against each other. They're competing against their own conference to try and get a chance of playing each other.
There's so many rivalries in each of the conferences, and the best ones are the divisional ones. And I think they're the best ones in AFC in the cold weather city.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Last one before we go.
Pittsburgh Baltimore is probably the best in the NFL for mine.
Yeah.
Which one happens first? An 8th team in the playoffs or a 2-week bye for each team?
An 8th team in the playoffs. So basically, it's probably going to happen next year.
When we said 2 week.
So like you get 2 buys a year. Sorry, you get 2 buys a year.
2 buys a year would just fuck with the schedule at the moment. They'd have to add. I don't think they'll do that. They'll go to an 18-game season.
What would require for there to be? Well, it might be the same thing. If you have an 8th playoff team, it indicates expansion, which probably means you need more rest. So they might both come simultaneously.
But if they expand, they're going to have to play with the divisional structure completely. Like the expanding is difficult, unless you mean the length.
So you have an 18th game, a second bye for the year, or an 8th playoff team.
8th playoff team will happen next year.
8th playoff team first, 18th game second bye.
Shit, you reckon next season 8th playoff team?
Because when they announced the 7,
4 years,
when they announced the 7th seed, did they give us that much notice? No. It was league meeting announced and then boom. And you're gonna watch because it's so tight.
There is no.
Okay, listen. Let me put it this way. Should a team like the Bengals not make the playoffs?
No.
Yes, because their defense.
Should a team like Atlanta make the playoffs?
Should a team like Dallas, who could finish 9-8, make it? No.
You know that the league's going to push for that because the owners control the league, right?
I just think it destroys the sanctity of the divisional structure a little bit.
I agree.
You get this. Your argument there is like English Premier League style, like us. You know, there's going to be 14 teams in the playoffs. Are there 14 teams better than Cincinnati? There aren't. Well, at their best, but there's probably 3 teams better than them offensively, but there's like 25 teams better than them defensively.
Yeah, but this is the thing, right? So I don't agree they should make the playoffs. However, I'm sure the owners will have something to say about that. Yeah, and it's all lobbying at the end of the day.
So then, how will that work? Do you give first and second a week off? Then you get third and fourth who've won the divisions, like a wild card home game versus 8th and 7th, and then the 2 best wild card teams get a home game.
Yeah, I think 6 plays 7 at 6, 5 plays 8 at 5. The first 4 don't play.
Oh, you reckon?
And then the winners of 5, 6, 7, and 8 play 3.
It'll be like a play-in. It'll be like a. It'll be a last week. It'll be a
the
week.
big advantage if you finish second, right? You get a huge advantage. You get none now virtually.
If you come second?
Because you get a second bye if you finish. You can go from no buys to 2. If you have that structure, if you finish second.
That's true. And by the way, like I think that's the other thing is, they took away the bye from the second, which I actually liked because it makes more fighting for the first.
Look at it now.
Teams want it back.
But this year you're going to have you look at it and what'll happen.
Detroit will be resting players from now.
I don't. Well, they won't. Well,
They would be if it was the first
They
two
haven't
months.
locked it up.
I think if you look at this year and you run that argument, you go, well, Buffalo are going to finish 15-2, so are Detroit, but Detroit are going to get a bye, Buffalo aren't, and Buffalo beat Detroit. Like, but it's like they finished second because they're in the same conference as Kansas City, whereas Detroit aren't. And
So you're on it. Do you reckon it happens next
they
year?
didn't have to play them.
I reckon.
Possibly.
I reckon 2027. So I reckon the year after. What do you reckon?
Possibly. They don't need much time to announce it. Like I said,
I
when
think
they
it'll happen
expanded,
next
it
year.
just happened.
As much as I hate to say it, there's only one 7 seed that's beat a 2nd seed. So maybe that's proof that it probably won't work.
But in that
Dallas.
instance, they won't.
Idiots.
In that instance, they won't. If you change the whole structure, like 7 will be playing 6, not 2. They'll eventually have to work their way up, but they'll have. They might. The argument will be then. Well, that works because the lower placed teams could win a playoff game, which you are obviously more likely to beat. If you're 7 or 8, you're more likely to beat 5 or 6 than you are 2 or 3.
Because then you reward like the top wildcard teams with a technical home game for a playoff.
Well, look at it now. Like you could have.
Okay, who would be the? Let's run it through now. The
What about
NFC. The
Cincinnati,
NFC.
Baltimore?
Right now,
So right now, it
Tampa
would.
Bay with the 8th seed, and you have Indianapolis as the 8th seed.
So right now, if it will be Kansas City, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Houston, week off. You would have Baltimore
Why would? Hang on a second. Why
top
would-
4.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
top two
Baltimore
gets
will
2 weeks
then
off.
go versus the Colts, and Chargers will be Denver. Okay, so
Yeah. That's what like other sports have a play-in tournament, right?
Yeah.
So Major League
Minnesota,
Baseball has that. Basketball has that. It's this kind of thing, right? It's a play-in for
That-
the last 2 spots, which I'm all for. It's extra action. That's your solution to a week 18 at the moment.
And I
with-
think
with
I
football.
don't think that.
Well, there is a week 18.
I think
but
that
week
the thing that
19.
will preserve the sanctity of the division is if you give 3 and 4 a bye they currently don't have, and they're not as vulnerable to 5 or 6 because they might be playing 7 or 8. So a team like Houston this year,
But,
they'll probably get immediately eliminated by Baltimore, but they're less likely to get beat by them in a different structure because Baltimore have to beat someone on the way through and have to play a game physically, whereas Houston
Yeah, so
don't.
what we're talking
there's
about
an
now is
NFC now.
the division
Atlanta
leaders.
and the Rams have 8 to 9 wins, but Minnesota will have to play that first week with 13 wins.
Doesn't that
So you're
give a-
protecting
doesn't that then create a shitty situation for
Minnesota.
an overperforming 5th seeds like a Baltimore?
Yeah.
Have to do extra.
Should win your
Yeah.
fucking division.
Yeah, but I think that's the
It's
thing.
competitive.
You got to have the sanctity of the division as high
Exactly,
as possible.
exactly right. Because that's what
We're
matters.
on
At
to
the end of the
something
day.
here.
That's what
Listen.
matters. Well, let's talk to the owners. I mean, I'd like to.
But that's
talk
the
to one in
structure. I reckon
particular.
like 1, 2 get 2 buys, 3, 4 get
A bye.
a buy, 5 plays
Yeah.
8, 6 plays 7. You constantly
So then, let's say now. So obviously, so we'll say Minnesota and Green Bay win that week. So then, what they verse 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 still get a week off.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
But the issue is there, do teams run out of steam because 1 and 2 just sit there for 2
Two
weeks?
2 weeks.
Yeah.
It might be long.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Whatever.
find out.
We'll find out next.
Play each other in a
In a friendly game.
winner takes all for 10 million prize money or something. Like,
Is there a such thing maybe as a second? I really doubt it, a second chance, first and second seed versus each other. Winner
I
goes straight
never
to the
like that about
conference.
rugby league. I don't like
Like,
the fact there's
second
a
by
second
the
chance.
chair.
What is it,
I don't like it.
McMahon system or
You lose, you
McIntyre
lose.
system?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Could have worked. Like the
Well, you mean one place?
So
two plays
basically,
three,
for
and
the NFL listeners, in the NRL, we have a top 8 playoff system. First and fourth, second and third winner will go to the divisional. Loser versus the winner of the Super Wild card.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you only get
yeah,
a bye
that's
if
the
you win your first
alternative
game.
way to do
Which
it.
means a
other
second
than that.
bite of the cherry, which you don't like.
I don't like
But
it.
that also gives an enormous advantage. Like if Team 4 beats Team 1
Yeah.
by 1 point, all of a sudden, like Houston,
They host the
all of a
playoff
sudden
game.
Houston turn the tide and they are a greater chance of winning the Super Bowl than what Kansas City are if they beat them 20-19 on one game. Yeah, it's I would prefer the double bye. Like
The double bye than the second
I think
chance.
you need to accept like your advantages need to get bigger the better record. You
Yeah,
have.
exactly right. And so, there's extra rest there, which means there's extra players coming back from injury, perhaps. And that's the point. Like, you fought so hard for first seed or second seed. You
It
deserve
could be
to
one and
get
done.
rewarded, right? And I think I think that some of the teams don't like the fact that second seed doesn't get rewarded anymore. We like it for the competitive nature, but it's inevitable that...
Well, if you have an
whenever it's
even
7,
number,
then we're gonna go
two
away.
gets rewarded because
Yeah, exactly. Again,
yeah,
which is,
a-
I think, what they want. So
Yeah.
it was inevitable that when we went to 7, it was going to go to 8.
Yeah.
Just like it was inevitable that when we went to 17 played games, it was going to go to 18.
What you'll find too, like if under the scenario where the first and second seed are probably going to be playing all their starters in week 18 because if they don't, they
Yeah.
would effectively have 3 weeks off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
yeah,
you actually
yeah.
get
But imagine
action,
having an
you get
injured
action
player.
right up until the end.
Yeah, but that's the risk every time you go out there, I suppose.
Yeah.
You look at a team like if Buffalo finished 15-2, they'd probably be the first.
Look at Detroit now. They need that 2-week break with all their players getting hurt and injured.
Yeah. There's swings and roundabouts like that, but like Buffalo are probably the first 15-2 team ever that are not going to get a bye. I'd say. I don't know if that's exactly true. It probably is though.
Probably hasn't happened too many times.
Or Minnesota, or beat Minnesota or Detroit, they could be 14-3 or 15-2. They won't get it.
True.
Yeah, but they won't be a divisional winner either. The
Yeah.
loser of that won't
Yeah.
be a divisional winner, whereas Buffalo will.
Just do it like the NBA. Play 7 games, best of.
What I hope is that the NFL's constant and getting bigger foray into Christmas Day. How good is it?
Yeah.
Let's kill
Fuck the
Let's
NBA.
kill the NBA.
Well, they're doing a good job of killing themselves.
Let's kill them.
Imagine the Super Bowl with best
Kanye,
of
go
3.
woke, go broke.
Best of 3. First to 2 wins. You have to play at their home ground.
Like
It's like,
Disney
you know,
shit. Fuck
Yeah.
off, man.
Like, how can you be called world champs when you can lose 3 games or 2 games in that series?
But the biggest issue, the season's so long, they rest so many players so often. If you're a season ticket holder, you go to a game, you expect to see LeBron, and no, he's getting rested. Like this is so.
Push it
fucked
down
up.
to 68
What are
games.
What are you talking
you
about?
Go to
The
NFL,
NBA.
you
No,
go
no, hang on. You obviously don't watch any NBA because LeBron,
You're a fraud.
in a season that's got 72 games,
82.
82 games, LeBron will play 70.
I'm not saying.
Yeah.
I didn't say LeBron specifically. I was
But
saying.
the star
I was
players,
yeah, you
saying
might
for
say
argument's
most
sake.
of them.
I was saying for argument's sake, if you want to see like the A grade team, you always go
they
to
missed
see
12 games though. What he's saying, like it's like that's a sixth of the season. Like Patrick Mahomes doesn't sit 3 times.
He busted his fucking ankle last week. and he
But
backed up. It's a
but
different-
I don't know if you know this, but the so let's talk about this really quickly for a second because this will be a really interesting point. When they were talking about going to an 18 game season in the first place, do you know what blocked that? Because they were talking about
NBA.
going to 18. No, the NFL was talking about going to 18 games, and then they went to 17 games as a compromise. Do you know why? The NFL Players Association had put forward as part of the collective bargaining agreement that there'd be a mandatory rest for certain positional players. So it's a mandatory you don't play. So to that point, if the NFL went to 18 games, you would see a mandatory rest in one of those games for Patrick Mahomes.
But I wonder whether if they're proposing to go from 16 to 18, they want to put that rest in. Now that we've had 17 games. And
Welcome
Or
to
do
the
you
first
have
bye.
to-
John.
Who knows?
Or do you then have 2 buys
have
and that,
2
that
buys.
becomes a second mandatory
Yeah.
rest?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? Anyway,
That was
we
the
will
first
never know.
basket down under, so
First basket down under.
That's
great.
NBA stinks. Who's good in the NBA these days?
no they're not.
What do you
Celtics
mean?
are still up there.
You obviously don't know any NBA.
I know the Milwaukee Bucks are NBA Cup champions.
What the
No
fuck's
one
the NBA
gives.
Cup?
That's for
Oh, you don't know?
No one cares about the NBA Cup. They're doing an
What is
in-season tournament. It's fucking stupid. It's sponsored by Emirates. It's marketing. Go fuck yourself.
Don't tell me.
The Lakers won
Okay,
it
so
last
there's a
year.
cup. It's Christmas, so the season's like what 60 games to go. There's-
Imagine if before All-Star Week in the MLB they decided to have a fucking cup tournament type thing,
Or like-
where they take some of the games right
In the regular
in
season.
the regular season.
so they
then
double up, so it's not a separate tournament.
It's not a separate tournament, but only for about 8 games, 10 games. But then what happens is there will be a playoff with the top 4 from each side. Which
They go to
goes
Vegas.
goes
So hang on,
top
there's
one.
pools within but they're not the
No, they're not
same as
The
the
games. There's a certain period of time where the games count toward the play.
So what if you? How many games are in the NBA Cup?
There's 4
So
group. No, there's
Milwaukee
4
won,
group.
did they?
All right.
No, in the NBA Cup, there's 4 group games.
So Milwaukee won.
Milwaukee won their group. They went to the semi-final. They won the semi-final. Then they won the final. And there's only been.
But like,
So
who's the
there's
best
2 extra
team?
games, in
So
other
what
words.
if you have to play like? So Boston are good and Milwaukee are good. What if you have to play? What if they're in the same pool?
Oh, then only one goes through.
And like you get someone like is
The
Detroit
Cavs
still
don't
shit?
think-
Detroit shit at everything except football now.
Is
Is Detroit still bad?
where's Detroit?
Washington, they're bad, aren't they?
Detroit are bad. Washington are the worst team in the league.
Washington stink.
Trust the process. Philly suck. Philly don't good at anything. Yeah.
Philly suck at the moment. Yeah. Thank God.
Let's just quickly show them the NBA Cup.
Okay.
There it is. So yeah, these are all the games that played in the NBA Cup. Semi-final. Then you have your group.
Yeah, I can see the team names, but I don't know how the tournament's worked out.
There it is. Quarterfinals. So like all these teams won their group with 2 playing teams.
Okay. What the fuck?
This would be a good clip. Mitch finding out about the NBA Cup.
Honestly, what is this? Seriously.
And the Bucks won with, and they also got a banner. They got a championship banner called the NBA Cup Champions.
It's ugly. Let's move on, guys. I think we're done.
That's crazy.
We're wrapping up.
So we are wrapping up, but just so you're understanding, if you didn't understand as an NFL fan, imagine 8 weeks into the NFL season, Dallas are grouped with the New York Jets,
give us an
the
explanation.
Los Angeles Chargers, and fucking the Rams. It's different division.
No, that's dumb. That's not how it worked at all. If you look at it, it's grouped based on the conferences still.
See ya.
Yes.
Anyway, so
It
imagine
was
8
Eastern-
games
it was
in.
Eastern versus Western, like it is in the fucking conferences in the NBA.
Anyway, let's cut.
Oh, because of my pick.
Debuted this year.
He
And
did,
it's
yeah.
this week.
All right, David. Do you know who else
it-
debuted?
is it-
Michael Duvernay.
Duvernay.
Michael Duvernay, both of them.
You think about Michael
47,
Duvernay?
baby, Donald J. Trump.
Number 11, Micah. Stay,
Anyone
please.
else with better sign off?
Gang,
Fuck,
gang.
fuck Brick Johnson.
All right, fuck Brick Johnson.
Charlie
Alright.
Manson still alive?
Fuck Brick Johnson. That's it. We're done. Bye.
What's his Madden rating?